Hi. Hi. Hello. Seriously, why can I not see any of my chat box on here? What's going on? Properties. I mean, that seems to be working. Huh. Hi. We'll just try it. We'll move to the other screen, the other screen. Maybe the other screen will be fine. Maybe the other screen. Maybe chat will work over here. Okay, let's see. Chat working? Chat? Chat? I don't even know when that stopped working. Yes? Okay, let's just properties. Refresh cache of page. Did did I do the right of startup for its machine spirit? I mean blessed be the Omnisaya, please make my chat work. Is that good enough? Is that good enough? Will that do it? Let me see if I can do some secret riots to get this working. Ring a bell? I need a bell. Log in with Twitch. Come on. How am I supposed to copy that over to the second PC? I am silly. Very silly Oneesan here. I'm trying. It's okay. Luckily I can read your mind chat. That's how we're communicating right now. I may not be able to see the words, but they're being transmitted directly to my brain. So we're doing all right. We're doing just fine. Oh, oh, that's a lot of subs. Thank you. Thank you for the subs tech. It doesn't have to have to do with like the topic of today's stream or anything, does it? That a tech priest is gifting subs, or is that the bell? Does that count as the bell to make things work? I feel like that might count as the bell here. So let's see if this works. Okay. Maybe there's a filter going wrong here. No? It's the Dave the Diver day. No, it's not. It's not Dave the Diver day. Test events. Other? Streamlabs. Twitch. No. That's not it. That's not it. Damn, I don't know why the chat isn't working on here. It's okay. We're gonna be replacing a lot of not the overlays, but I'm gonna be like reformatting, reprogramming a lot of things tomorrow because there may or may not be a very cool event happening on the 13th. But you know what's happening before that very cool event? Is a very cool debut of me on a really cool mobile app called Analive. So if you've ever wanted to watch me on your phone but not use the kind of Twitch app, you can now see me on Analive for the first time on the 13th here, and that'll be before our big event on Twitch. So what I hope to do on Analive is that we will have kind of like pre-stream hangouts while I get my stream ready. And just lots of yapping. instead of games on your phone, you can have Oneesan on your phone. But anyways, enough about me. You know what's more important than me? Warhammer. Let's do some Warhammer lore. So one of the things that has been recommended to me in the comments on my VOD channel, since that's seemingly had a lot of views on it, summoning chat, ding 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 ding. Man, this is gonna look weird on the VOD because I'm just talking to no one here. There's just like blank screens. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I got voices in my head. Anyways, some people in the comments of my recent Warhammer lore exploration and Space Marine 2 videos have recommended that I watch some lore videos by a very particular creator named Bricky. I've heard about him in passing from a certain bug wine ant, so to speak. So I've heard good things. So we're gonna check out some of his videos, and then we might deep dive on some more of the videos by Luetin09, which is what we were watching before. I kind of want to explore, you know, a little bit of everything, because, you know, lore can have like a very different feel to it depending on who's explaining it or talking about it, and everybody can be a little bit biased too. So it's good to you know, second opinions on everything, right? People on YouTube be like, Ayumi talking to herself again. Yeah, that's I better not see you making that comment there, Twitch chatter, on my YouTube videos when you were here, Baka. But anyways, let me switch on over to our other scene here so we can watch the Warhammers. Watch the Warhammers. I think it's this button. Yeah, it's this button. Here we are. Let's turn off that BGM. Blam. And we're good to go. Although, mind you, I don't think the Twitch VOD hears my BGM. So, y'all just went from nothing to nothing. Okay. You just pulled up that video. Yeah, this is every single Warhammer 40k faction explained. Part 1.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about. A little bit more context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing.
Those are nice legs.
So, hello everybody, my name is Bricky.
Hi, Bricky.
And this is going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is, I need 2 hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40k race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, mostly lore, what they're all about,
sanguine.
and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is.
The wig was good.
Now you see, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000
video a bit louder? Yeah, we can do that.
Plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about. They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs, and then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. You're watching this. You're probably a weeb. That's okay. Same. It's okay.
Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So, overall, the Warhammer universe
I'm not
is
heretical.
vast
What are you talking about?
when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy-ass electronics on them. You've got aliens, and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail.
The cut skinny jeans for the chaos faction. I can't.
That I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about, and what the Warhammer universe is about as well, to give at least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So, I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the table.
Yeah. So this seems to be like he's really holding our hand through this. I don't mind it. I can appreciate a little bit of hand holding. But you know, like a lot of the previous lore videos we watched, it just goes straight into the lore. No hold handing. They're just like kicking you off a cliff like a Tekken Kazama character. I can appreciate what hand holding. You know, sometimes hand holding can be nice. Holding hands is heresy. I don't think so. I don't think so, brother. I don't even know what I was gonna say in my next thing, you guys. Damn.
The top as well, in case you were curious about that. But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man, because that takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore. Oh, boo-hoo. What is Warhammer 40,000? Well, the 40,000 starts off is the year 40,000. The 41st millennium, that's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD. You're already more knowledgeable. Let me read you a quote. First of many
totally didn't know that already.
In this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. To be a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods.
It's pretty metal.
Everything blows. And it blows fucking hard. Warhammer is probably
if you're gonna
the
blow
most
hard,
dark
right?
and depressing universes ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota. War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar
I feel like I
travel
should have
is
watched
only
this video first before I really did the other videos, because this feels like the beginner video I needed at the beginning, and like a lot of this is like, okay, Bricky. Bricky? Is it Bricky? Do I have the name? It's Bricky, right? Right? Bricky, yeah. I'm just making sure I'm saying it's like, because I'm like, okay, Bricky, when are we getting to the things I don't know? When are we getting to the things I don't know? This feels like Warhammer beginner info for normies. That's Matara's content husband. Okay, this is one of her husbands, wife's partners. She has many. Yeah, watching Bricky. Although I feel like I just want him to really deep dive into this. I'm waiting for more info.
Possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god.
How dare you talk about the Emperor
demons
like that?
Tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim. Everything sucks, but that's like the charm of it. See, everything in Warhammer is evil, but being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity in its own right is a xenophobic, prejudice, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid.
I mean, that's kind of normal for humanity, not gonna lie.
Mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer. Nobody is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it. Because being the bad guy is badass. Villains are cool. They look cool, they got cool outfits, they got cool weapons, they got cool armies. Villains are cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy.
If no one is good guy, everybody can be bad guy.
Main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
His hair, whack. His gear, whack.
The Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium.
You know what? I bet
About
I can
10,000
watch
years
this
ago,
at
there was a man.
2 times
He was the
speed,
emperor,
or at
the
least
emperor of
1.5.
mankind, a 10-foot tall psychic demigod who led humanity across the stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity to a new age. This man, the emperor of mankind, was a psyker. And a psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40k, there is the warp, the immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff. Like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The emperor, big boy psyker.
Don't tell him, guys.
A+, maybe even
wait,
S.
Wait,
now,
you think we should watch it at 0.25 speed? Okay. Let's see how this is.
Created a bunch of suns. Yes. Created a bunch of suns.
A bunch of suns.
Primarchs. He created 20.
He sounds like he's drunk. 0.25 sounds like he's just slurring his speech so grotesquely. Look at that.
18 Primarchs.
Wait. 18? Okay, I was told 9. And then I was told 12. And now Bricky's saying 18. I need to hear this normal speed. 18? I'm so confused now. What? Common Rider, thank you for the follow. Also Cream Coin, thank you for the follow as well.
To have them lead all of the different legions of humanity to the different stars and planets to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarchs are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 other, well, I guess...
I think favorite son is a stretch.
9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is,
did the Emperor say that it was his favorite son?
The hellish place. In there relies the 4 Chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The warp being kind of evil, those Chaos gods, that's the reason. And so those Chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor.
Yeah, we've got the 4 Chaos gods. We got Violence, Stinky, deception, and women, right?
Earth, and they fucked up shit. After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor, and right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely.
Isn't the 5th Chaos God, like, technically all of them combined, or is that a different thing? Because I remember someone was telling me about Chaos Gods, like, if they all combined into, like, the one true Chaos God, then they'd probably wipe us all out, and, like, you know, like, if they weren't fighting each other all the time. Is Malice the 5th, or is Malice the combination, or was the combination a whole different thing? And if there's a 5th, why don't we ever talk about Malice? Oh, no, Malice is the combination? The Parasite God is the 5th. Malice is weird. It's so confusing.
But slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40K, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to some crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like
Malice is just tied up in a
travel.
bunch of retcons and legal stuff, says Shashka. Oh, okay. So that's different. That's different. I guess it's like kind of like, you know, with Destiny and like the whole Siva arc, and like half of that was like retconned or whatever. Yeah, feels like that. Like, cause they changed up a whole like Rasputin lore a bunch in between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and we were all a little confused.
In Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day to stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone for all of humanity.
Yeah, no, what's
so
Siva?
boned. Now,
Siva,
since the Horus heresy
what's
10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living god, which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God Emperor of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them. If you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. Heretics die in 40K. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you are against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. Some more than others, but no matter what, you're preaching that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death.
They go over some things that I want to know more info on.
If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well. So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However,
you know, Bricky's lucky he's very good at talking and very charismatic. Cause like, I have learned zero new information and yet I am still watching. Like I said, I should have probably started with a Bricky video and then went on to like the deeper lore channels last time I went, but learned about the chaos. No, I already knew about them. I knew that shit already. He didn't even touch into like what each of them was. Or the Primarchs or see, you don't even know what you're talking about, Oxy. You're just like, you learned about this or that, whatever. Because like you were like snoozing out. Okay, so So, context for people not seeing the chat here. Oxboy Ryan dislikes Warhammer. He's a mod, and he dislikes Warhammer. He's not happy that I'm doing Warhammer content, but we say, fuck you, Oxy. We doing Warhammer content because I'm enjoying this. Who?
The largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Pretty shit now, man. You finished? That's it, man. Game over, man.
The Imperial Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing
This is our infantry.
modern day like flak armor with a laser rifle. This is the humble las gun, the main weapon of the Imperial Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams. It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40k universe.
Flashlight.
A laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs, one of the weakest weapons.
Okay.
That's the world we're in right now.
Okay.
But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women. 30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with...
Wait, what if we got Bricky a VTuber model, except for it was only like the legs, and then he can like still green screen himself onto like the VTuber legs. That way he can be like half VTuber, but he'll only be the legs. Like it'll be live 2D rigged, everything, animations galore, toggles, but just pants, like just the legs, just hips and down, and then the rest of the time he's just gotta green screen his IRL body on top. I feel like that could be like a good look for him, you know?
Artillery, long lines of artillery,
my ears,
cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions of guardsmen. It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower. They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Catachin jungle fighters live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo Predator-looking sons of bitches where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan Winter Soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years, the Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle, and then of course the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first swarm lord at...
Someone asks, Ayumi, an ab enthusiast. You see, I do appreciate tummy. And abs are nice. But, specifically on the male form, my favorite part is the traps, the trapezius muscle, the one that is in between the shoulders and the neck. That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To quote I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard. 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40k. They're the army I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most,
this is why he's
and
talking
the one
about
I
this
enjoy
so much.
in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular
Just a
man
regular
with a laser
dude.
rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just poetic. They actually represent the main Imperial Guard tactics pretty well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Space Marines.
Space Marines!
The Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened, their bones are stronger, they're taller than the average person. They're pretty massive people, and these are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I mentioned before, oversees their legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines. Jagatai Khan has the White Scars. Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists. Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard. And there's a whole bunch of other side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast. In fact, it's been said that nothing that large should move that quick. These men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds. Their reflexes are faster. Their skin is tougher. They are overall just extremely powerful soldiers. In fact, where they—
But that's because of the black carapace. I think that's how you pronounce it. Which makes it so that the armor doesn't like function like normal armor on a human, where it weighs them down and affects their movements, but like it makes it so that like you're going as fast as your body can go, because everything feels like connected and like a part of you.
They differ, it comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman are the main blue boys. Strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little bit too strong, and that's a lore problem, but the White Scars by Jagatai Khan are all about speed freaks, go fast. We're talking attack bikes, we're talking land speeders. You want to go
Wait, we have motorcycle Space Marines? We got motorcycle Space Marines? What?
quick, you want to hit them hard, you want them to be swarming around like buzzflies. Buzzsaws.
White Scars. Okay, interesting.
With the speed of buzzsaws. Fuck you,
Gotta go
Pale King.
fast.
Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also actually
really like the
nicest
melta-guns,
Space
though.
Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this kind of like holier-than-thou thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the lives of themselves, which is actually rather rare. They're also all black, but not like just regular black, like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior and blazing red eyes.
That's
Apparently something about living on their
right?
home planet of Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much sense, but who cares? This is like fantasy land.
Dude, you're not even explaining the conditions of said planet, and that there's like fire and volcanoes like everywhere, and that it's like ashen skin, like it's like,
Anyway, overall,
Go more into
salamanders
it.
are actually one of my personal
You
favorite
could do it,
legions
Bricky.
because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flavor.
I know he's doing an overview, but I'm gonna have to dig deeper into salamander because I feel like even like in the other. See, this video is an hour, and the other video I watched I think was about an hour too, and they still did a bit deeper of salamander. But I think it's because he spent like. No one usually covers this amount on the Imperial Guard, which I will say is impressive, but also we had a blah 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 6 minutes of like basically what is Warhammer, which was an excellent introduction, which I think I spent doing a separate 10-minute video of what is Warhammer. Then I went into a lore video on just like general Space Marines as a whole, I think it was. So, you know, different videos cover different parts. It's just like I wish I could like see, this is what we need AI for, but we need AI that's not gonna lie to me and that is just gonna give me like more like just like a good search AI so that I could like pause video, then bring up other small videos just within the small section of info on salamanders, and then press play on this video and then pause it where I need. And I know I could just go and click and search these up myself, but my ADHD brain is gonna get derailed so fast that I'm not gonna end up going back to the original video I was on. It's just sometimes I just want answer to one question now, but like with the way some of these some of the funny Google AI things I've seen where complete inaccurate statements are given as answers to questions. I don't think I can trust that. We're just gonna have to do it the long way around. Watch all the lore videos, digest all the information, and hope to God we find the answers to the questions we're looking for as we go along.
Flamer weapons, and they have a
You
nice.
just spend 2 hours falling down the wiki rabbit hole. That is true, Spike Bomb. But also, I'm really bad with just like reading massive amounts of text like that these days. I used to be much better. I used to be like a much stronger reader. If I were to read like a Warhammer, one of the fictional books, yeah, I could probably do that. It's gonna take me a long time. But if I were to read through the wiki, I'm gonna get bored really fast, or there's gonna be a bunch of words I don't understand, and I'm gonna have to look up those words and then get more derailed. I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna have like 50, 60 plus tabs open as I like click through different words as I'm reading an article. Like it's semi-intended way. Now it's tubers covering it. Ooh. How dare a VTuber like an IP that's been around since what, the Gulf Wars? Earlier than that? How long has Warhammer been around? How long has Warhammer been around now? Like the 80s? Yeah. Big IP. Very, very, very long. It's like 40 years, yeah. We have 40 years of content to catch up on, chat. We got lots. End of the 70s.
It's like more heartwarming lore as
More
opposed
heartwarming lore.
being super evil like everyone else is. Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine legions. Imperial fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven Guard.
Salamanders love people, but only if people only count as humans. To them, only human people. Other people aren't people, only humans are people to them.
Master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets. Iron hands, masters of machines and vehicles.
I'm wondering though, because like, since salamanders themselves are a slight human mutation, right? How do they themselves feel about mutated humans? Like, is there like, do they still consider them human or like treat them the same? Like, especially for people like, you know, like the Blood Angels, it depends, probably. Depends. See, you get lots of gray areas, huh?
While being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space Wolves, Vikings.
Wait. I need to go back just a second here. Just a second.
This is like fantasy land anyway. Overall, salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore as opposed to being super evil. Like,
Why does he have Black Templar legs when he's talking about the salamanders? Editor kun, nani?
everyone else is. Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way
Sus legs, exactly.
to the Space Marine legions. Imperial fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets.
Bird.
Iron hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf.
Oh. I feel like I need to know more about these iron hands. That sounds interesting. Being sold on eBay after one nerf. Were they actually like really overpowered? Was it that bad? I need to know the lore behind this. It's an inside joke between the salamanders and the Black Templars. Oh, do those two not get along very well? Is that why he had Black Templar legs? Damn.
Space wolves, Vikings and wolves and tons of wolves and axes, battle axes,
wolves.
fur everywhere. Space wolves.
So this is the furry legion. Gotcha.
Angry, big teeth.
Furry chapter.
Blood angels, the genetic defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy, called the red thirst. They have cupid wings and stuff.
Hello, the blood angels are more than just the red thirst. They're the beautiful offspring of our fallen angel Sanguine and
Which is a little bit strange, and they are all super gay for Sanguinius.
I can explain. I can explain.
Dark angels are old school knights,
anyways.
inner circle theme, and
Wait, what? Redacted?
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never. Once in a blue moon, I know.
Death Watch, a fancy anti-Xenos group that nobody plays because Death Watch, and they look cool though, but no one plays them. I don't know about Death Watch. They're there though. Black Templars, for the people who, if you haven't prayed at least 3 times a day, you're gonna start praying out that airlock. And I'm sure there's some other chapters I may have missed as well, like Crimson Fists and stuff. But those are the main ones right here. Here, quote from the Emperor himself.
If Death Watch not cool, why they put at beginning of Space Marine 2 to lock people in?
They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategies, and machines that no foe will best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are my defenders of humanity. They are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. And on the tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard. As of making this video, Space Marines are laughably strong. That might change at some point, but overall, Space Marines just have it's like a Swiss Army knife.
Oh,
a tool.
wait, so this is why in all the Instagram reel memes, y'all just be upset people keep on choosing, like, the Ultramarines. But the reason is because they're the OP meta choice for tabletop. That's why they're upset. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense now. That makes sense.
For anything you need, except it's like a gold-plated Swiss Army knife. It is extremely strong. If you are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether
they pick favorites, so you feel like well, I feel like the thing is, like, there's probably like too many chapters and factions for them not to pick a favorite or like a figurehead. It's like Krypton and Vocaloid. Of course they're gonna put Miku at the front, right? And promote Miku more, right? It's always the blue one. Like Miku, Sonic, You know? Because blue means like protagonist or something like that, right? What's another good example of this? Oh yeah. Let's see. There's also rainbow dash. I don't know why I thought of fucking ponies, but you know, just put the blue one up front. That goes well for marketing. Except for, I guess Pokemon would be the outlier to this. They either do Pikachu or like Charizard, right? Right. Just like Hololive, Gura, also the blue one. They put and Suisei, also the blue one. And arguably one of their like, you know, their talents that they put at the front and like on all the like promotional material the most, right? Think about it. Blue.
You want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast and run in, or even just full melee, all of these options are totally there for you. Space Marines are super badass, but unfortunately, it's time we start praying to our new god, the 2011 Honda Civic.
So is it any wonder
the Adeptus
people are afraid of technology?
Technology!
The Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are a technophile
And here we got the opposite of blue. Red!
Cult on Mars. Now, these people are a little bit weird because they don't actually really believe in the Emperor of Mankind. And you might think, oh, whoa, Bricky, that sounds like some heresy. A little bit. They believe in the Emperor, they believe in his power, but they don't pray to him. They pray to something called the Omnissiah. And the Omnissiah is this kind of machine god that they believe permeates in all machines. And if you think, well, wait a minute.
Wait. So do they regard the Emperor as part machine because of how he's on the throne and stuff like that, which is why they're supporting the Emperor? Or how does this work? Depends on who you ask. Every freaking question I ask is always depends. There are no answers in Warhammer. There is just lore and options and depends. Oh my goodness. No.
They believe in a different god as well? That sounds like super heresy. Well, yes-ish.
Yes-ish, but
they also make all your guns, and they make all your tanks, and they make everything that you have, so you can't really tell them to fuck up.
And they also repair your Space Marine armor
off, because you're not gonna win nothing if you don't got stuff to shoot people with. See, their Omnissiah at least makes sense from their standpoint. They believe it to be a deity that permeates through all machines. Your Honda Civic, your standard bolt gun, your Dune Strider Walker, your giant mechs, your huge ships. The Omnissiah is present through all. And the only reason your stuff works is because the machine's spirit in it says it works. If you want your gun to work, your tank to run, you must pray to it. And I mean full stop. You need to start chanting in high Gothic. You need to burn incense. You need to sit on your knees and pray to that car. You need to rub oil on your robes, and you need to go ahomina, homina, 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 homina. Full stop. If you want.
Wait. We have a tech priest in the chat. Was that racist of him to do that? Is that like tech priest racism to him? Him like doing the humna, pretending to chant like he's blessing things for the machine spirit. Is that tech priest racism I'm seeing out of Bricky? It better not be. It's Warhammer. It's always racism. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh my god. No, it's accurate. No, that's binary. They pray in binary, literally. Wait. If they pray, do they literally go like 0 1 0 1 1 0 0 1 1? Speak a rapid fire binary language. Well, I must hear this. We need to go stalk some of the tech priests in Warhammer, Space Marine 2. We gotta check it out. We gotta keep our eyes on them. Learn their ways.
If you want your gun to fire, you need to do that. They are very bizarre, and they actually have a bit of a point because it's obviously working. And if you look at them, I don't know how that works. So they obviously know something about what they're doing. The most notable member of the Adeptus Mechanicus is Archmagos, whatever, Belisarius Call. Look at this dude.
Oh.
Look at this dude. Yeah, this is the group we're talking about. These are these weirdos. Here, the Omnissian Creed. The credo, Omnissia. There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay. There is no certainty in flesh, but death. Flesh is weakness, flesh is death. The Omnissia is the god of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish to give unto him, you must saw down your limbs and remove your organs and replace them with mechanical parts, because that is what he wants, and that is how you will become enlightened. Hard technophiles mixed with religious extremism. Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, for their army side of things, they are with the Scutari. The Scutari operate with very bizarre weaponry and lots of different kinds of vehicles, tanks, and different people.
So what about that one robot alien race? What do the tech priests think of them? Aren't the Necrons kind of like robots too? Are they like different than the machine spirit robot? I've got so many questions. They love the Necrons. They hate them. What? I'm getting conflicting. We love and hate them, says Tech Priestaka. It depends on who you ask. Literally, we got the depends answer again. Feel free to fight each other in the comments, guys. I know you're gonna do that.
In between. They're very weird, but they have extremely wacky and enjoyable, and in fact quite effective both in the real game and in the lore, weaponry and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different shenanigans, but if you like kind of that quirky, wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. Hell, they're so
oh, is this one of those like they hate them because they can't be them kind of scenarios? Kind of might sound like that because they're like, yes, we must abandon our flesh. But really, they wish they were born without flesh.
Paranoid, I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off, and they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle.
Wow, that's
cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 100 shiny rocks for the awesome Oneesan. I hope everybody's day is full of comfy and great vibes. Make sure you all stretch and hydrate every now and then.
Thank you, Yu. I appreciate it.
Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though, let's talk about the Sisters of Battle.
Yes.
Followed for an eagle in
What the?
Go City.
The Sisters of Battle of the Adeptus Sororitas, if that's how I pronounce it correctly, is an all-female group of battle sisters going through the ecclesiarchy section of the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a private army of the church, which is scary, and it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force, and they take this to a full extreme. They believe in three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire. Through the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos and heretics. Mainly heretics, because as they are a fighting section of the ecclesiarchy church, That's the big
Oh.
thing they want to kill. Any form of heretic will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons, the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, and they will do so with extreme prejudice. Literally. They are the closest things we have to nuns in space, and I'm talking hardcore nuns. They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is a fucking pipe organ missile launcher. They have small babies that they have removed their brain capacity to make them little servant cherubs to fly around and give them ammunition and shit. They draw.
I learned something interesting about those cherubs the other day. Yeah, those are real babies.
Drop churches from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battles. They drop churches into battles and they blare war hymns and holy music from their frigates in low atmosphere and shower holy water across the battlefield. These are the people you are dealing with, and they're fucking awesome. They can literally stave off demons on the tabletop because their faith is that strong. Remember the warp, the demons from the warp? Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive, go through the warp. It's the immaterium, the place of all things. So if you are that mentally fortified, that mentally strong, you can stave off horrifying demons. And all these girls, oh, not a crack. Not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as much as a meme as they are, and as much as their models look a lot like Ongo Gabloglian, yeah, which I can't unsee anymore, I gotta say, I love their design. I think they're extremely cool. They're another army that I'm currently collecting. They just released a whole new line of figures very recently, and they look wonderful. Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint, from the triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model, those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over-the-top
Very
badassery in a lot of the Warhammer universe, and goddamn it, is it over the top. But Sisters of Battle are so cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, oh, this is such a cool faction. By bolters.
He's a guardsman simp for the battle nuns, for the Sisters of Battle. I can see it now. I can see it now. Check DM. I'm busy here. I'm busy here. I'll check it. An example of binary in the game. Okay, I will check that out later. Y'all making me think that the Discord DM be important.
Shell, Flamer Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So it has been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. And speaking of burning demons,
I can see!
the Grey Knights are the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition. The Grey Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power armored knights, except they are all psychers.
They're
of
all
them have that
psychers.
crazy space magic magician shit.
Huh.
For every 100,000 guardsmen, there's 1 Grey Knight. For every 10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's 1 Grey Knight. For every 1,000 Space Marines, there's 1 Grey Knight. Grey Knights are the strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high-level psychers.
But if they're
all of them able
psychers,
to
that means they have their mind open to the warp. Therefore, weakness and heresy.
specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is right.
They're Mary Sue
However,
immune to
this group
heresy?
is entirely based on doing that
okay.
through a myriad of
Sure.
tactics. Coming from the planet, or I guess the moon of Titan in the Sol system, the Grey Knights are thrown through extremely rigorous training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can be. Since the demon...
So, like, if I show up to the tabletop night and I just put, like, out 10 Grey Knights on the table, I'm not allowed to do that? That's not allowed? You can. Depends on your points. You won. You can. It feels like summoning like 3 blue eyes white dragons same turn, right? You can. They're an army. Wouldn't that be too OP though? If they really are that OP. Is this codex compliant? Depends on who you talk to. Everything is it depends. Everything in Warhammer is just like, you want to fulfill that power fantasy? How edgy do you want to be? What flavor of edgy would you like to be for your power fantasy?
Demons of the warp are the warp, and your mind projects to the warp. People can go insane very fast, especially lower level psychers. These Grey Knights need to be able to harness the warp in the presence of demons and stay perfectly sane. One of their characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. He has a demon blade, the black blade of Mahamahama.
Wait a second. So Crane Corm here says basically just non-stop edging. If that's the case, and warp heresy, well, I was going somewhere. I was going somewhere with this. I had a thought, but now I think it's a bit too much. I'm just thinking like, no, stop, pause, stop, don't. That's no. But does it count as Slaneshi if you never finish those heretical thoughts? If you only entice them to use the powers of the warp against the heresy, you edge, but you never embrace Slaneshi, then is that heresy, or is that just extreme mental fortitude as a psyker? You know, you're using the powers for good. The Inquisition is coming for you now. No, I'm not saying I would edge. I would not edge. That's heresy there. I would not edge. But but we're just talking theoretically here. We're just thank you for the biddies. You say Slanesh is all kinks all the time. Ooh. The sisters are coming for you? I hope not. They're not supposed to be doing that.
And he has to have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them. Use my power. Use my strength. Suck my penis. Whatever the possibility. And so he has to keep it on him all the time as this thing whispers to him consistently. And he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets too close to it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure of heart.
Oh, he's so pure that he is edging the edging, you know? Like, he's edging at edging. He's like, it's like pre-edging edging, you know? Like, he's being whispered about the edging, and he's thinking about the edging, but then he has the mental fortitude to not edge. I understand now. I get it.
Heart and mind, and all
Next
the characters
level.
in the Grey Knights are basically like that. The only issue is that
doesn't
Grey Knights
even
have
get
a
to the
scorched
edge
earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy. So if I'm a guardsman,
he stares out at the edge as it calls to
and the
him.
Grey Knights arrive and they kill all the demons, I'm a risk. And so, guess who's not making it out of there? On the tabletop, they're very strike fast, strike hard.
Oh, wait, is this that thing I heard that I hear Grey Knights leave no witnesses? Is that a thing? Is that what he's talking about here? A squad comes to help you out, you're fighting demons, but then you notice their armor's gray and you're like, oh shit. They kill him or mind wipe him. I mean, I feel like mind wipe is like a form of death depending on the level of wipe, though. In all technicality, right? If there is no heresy, if there is no one to be a heretic. I understand. And if you're a Sister of Battle, it's even worse. What do they do to the Sisters of Battle? Okay. Oh, are we talking about that one machine where you can just put the, you kind of just strap them in to be like, that one machine where they kind of like kind of crucify them on the machine to be like a battle thing? I thought that was only for heretics, though. Nope, read up. Oh, 1 second. Coat the blood of their weapons in Sisters of Battle blood? Oh. Is that like help with rust? Haha. Does it empower the weapons? Is that what they believe? Is that like a... Oh, the sisters willingly would impale themselves on their blades. That sounds heretical right there. That sounds like some heresy. If the sisters are willingly impaling themselves on their blade sisters, that sounds like they're getting away with some heresy in the form of No, the Grey Knights do it on their own. It's for the... That's what they always say. They always say it's for the Emperor, and then you can just do anything as long as it's for the Emperor, right? Jesus. Okay, we're going to have to get into this lore later ourselves.
They teleport all around the place. They are fast strike groups. Small amounts of models because they're
Depends
so
on who
strong.
you ask.
You only have so many characters, but...
But what does GW say about this, then? Which books have been approved that say these things?
With it, you get in there, you're very...
You say depends on who you ask, but if it's canon, then it's just canon. It's not depends on who you ask.
Tough, very tanky, you hit really hard, and you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but you don't have numbers, and so every dead Grey Knight hits really damn hard. They're fun, though, if you like that kind of fast-striking kind of army. Oh, and also, Caldor Drago is a thing. We're not even going to get into Caldor Drago. All right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am the hammer. I am the
Depends
mail
on how
about
much
his
battle
fist. I am the
sister blood
spear in
they
his
use.
hand.
Wait. I mean, if they're battle sisters, they could technically give you blood like every month to put on your sword without them dying, you know? So you know, we could have a very symbiotic relationship here. It'll all work out.
Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the hammer. I am the sword. I am the shield. I am a soldier at the battle at the end of time. Grey Knights.
Warhammer 40k's like From Software lore interpretation, it usually depends on who you ask. Wait, hold up. What do you mean by that? Cheer 500.
Don't worry. I'm just theorizing here. I don't have enough information and I need more people to ask, apparently. So, you don't want an anatomy lesson today? You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Sisters of Battle had their like uteruses ripped out or something already anyway. So, this is a grimdark universe we're talking about.
Are pretty hardcore. They are as holy as you can get for a Space Marine.
Like
you like Space Marines?
female
You wanna-
eunuchs,
you know,
you know?
that they're holy enough. You want to be holier? Grey Knights. Now, if you want to be holier and big, let's talk Imperial Knights.
Oh.
Lord, he coming!
Do you like
Big.
gigantic walkers the size of homes or medium-sized buildings?
Hey, you can not have baby producing properties and still be human. You said no sisters are human. I could be human and rip out my uterus and still survive. Just because like that is a common thing amongst some extremely fantasy-based religions, is for them to sort of like renounce like making children in and any acts that make children, and instead fully devout themselves to their god. So that would hurt, though. Man, we're talking about 40k. There's a lot of things that hurt in this universe.
Do you want to kill heretics, but you want to kill like 40 of them per turn? Do you want a gigantic old school knight noble house style of walkers with giant chainsaw arms? Then you got Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old school like house feel to them, like literally like they're houses. Each Imperial Knight comes from a house, and each of them act in their own special way. These behemoth of walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths of squads in a couple shots, stepping on legions of troops. Like, these things do not mess around, and they look so cool. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to
There's
discuss.
Chaos Knights?
They're just super big, heavy walkers, and they look different depending on your house or chaos god you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just
Knights
really
are
cool
still
if you wanna
considered
murder
small?
everything in
Okay.
your path. They're the big, scary, big unit of Warhammer, and if you want to collect them, go to town. They make for a great painting project, too. Getting more back down to
Look
Earth.
for a
Let's talk
complicated
something about a little
painting
bit,
project.
a little bit different, a little more gold.
The
If
Custodes.
guardsmen are regular soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers, Grey Knights are super soldiers,
I love the gold
Adeptus
pants.
Custodes are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodes are the third major army I own. I know, 3 armies. I know, I got carried away, okay? But that's all. I only have 3, okay?
Only 3.
They are our final brand of Space Marines, but these ones are super special. Okay, if a guardsman is 6 foot, a Space Marine is 7 feet, a custodian is 8 feet. These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra. Earth, Terra.
Terra, Earth,
Themselves.
yes.
These are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room, hence Custodes. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted people. They're not humans brought up by a gene seer or something. These are all handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall, and functionally immortal. They stand still, spear in hand, for hundreds of years without the need to sleep and barely even the need to eat, watching over the throne room and every other area of Holy Terra for their entire purpose in life. And oh my lord,
Wonder what the
are they terrifying. These custodians put Space Marines to shame. If you like
lifespan
your
of these
super
guys
soldiers,
are.
these are your super mega soldiers. One of these men can take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal
there's
favorite, the Aquilian Shield. The Aquilian Shield go out to seemingly unimportant individuals and protect them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives. For instance, let's say a regular guardsman gets the protection of this giant.
sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep there. I am paying
because
attention.
That guardsman will.
One sec, I gotta grab my battery. Hey, at least he's dick riding them all, right? If this video is dick riding, as you say, Spike Bomb. Although I gotta say, if that's the case, Actually, he's pretty even with a lot of these, but I still think he dick rided the Imperial Guard the most.
End up becoming a general one day or something of that nature. The custodians work in
They are
mysterious
his fave,
ways.
though. You're
and are
right.
almost
He is
always
obligated.
outnumbered, but never outmatched.
If I had a fave faction and I was making a video, I would feel obligated to give them special treatment. He's doing his part.
These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop as well as in the lore. There are very few of them, however, and there's actually an extremely small amount
That
of
one
them.
looks really
but
good.
That's kind of the point. There's only so many of these people that can have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training this good. And the custodians have all three of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready, always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within, little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years, I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. The custodians are the top dogs of the Imperium, and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here, because the Sisters of Silence I also have a few of, and they're really fun, but they don't get enough
it reminds
attention.
me of that one sniper in Star Wars Phantom Menace. When they're doing the pod racing, and there's that one like very white, pale skinned sniper bounty hunter lady with the long red ponytail. That's what they kind of remind me of. That was my mom's favorite Star Wars character. Aura Singh, yeah, it kind of reminds me of that.
These kind of bald
Alien,
blue
yeah.
ladies are a whole group of pariahs, or also known as blanks. We'll be referring to them as blanks from now on. So
Blanks.
as every mind is somewhat connected to the warp, these blanks are a genetic mutation that has it suppressed heavily. Because of that mind suppression, normal people feel this weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable and strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're
People usually kill them. Yeah.
killed or something at a very young age, because they just
Oh my god, I have such a I don't know if I can say this, but oh no. Oh, this is coming from a personal perspective. It's like they're the Yeah, let me DM to you to make sure I can say this. Oxy, give me a second. No. But think about it, like, people feel like really uncomfortable and ill around them, and they, if we're talking about like olden days, like kind of fantasy reason, usually like, weird acting kids are usually killed at birth because of stuff like that. You get what I mean, Oxy, right? Let's just say on a mental health level, maybe we could, some of us here can relate to the to these ladies here.
emit a horrifying aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it, all of them taking a vow of silence as they don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence, but they communicate through hand gestures and things of that nature.
Ah,
But if
okay.
there's a demon issue, if
This
there's
is
any kind of
reinforcing my theory.
warp-based problem, the sisters are extremely adept
Hi,
at dealing
Mr.
with them,
Ender.
thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats, but they're not represented that way on the tabletop. In fact, they only have like one real model for them, which is very
Only one?
unfortunate. I hope they'll get some like news soon because I think they should really be working together
They kinda
as
look like
it is that way
birds.
in the lore. But hopefully
the-
we'll
with
get
the
there
way
soon.
their
But if we're talking
armor
about
is-
blanks, let's talk assassins.
My precious power ring, gone forever.
It's been a long video. We're about to round it out. We got this and one more human thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio assassinorum, oh boy, these people are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man, these people
Thank you for the
will
follow.
mess you up. So these are from the Officio assassinorum, a very special organization, and they are handpicked by the Grand Master of the Officio assassinorum from the what was it called? Schola Progenium. It's basically an orphan school. Your parents got
Oh.
murdered by demons or something. You get sent to this and you get trained to
We got orphan assassins in Warhammer. Let's go.
be whatever. Tempestus drop troop, an inquisitor, maybe even. Maybe you get a blank gene and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken, however, you go to one of 4 temples because the assassinorum works in the temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor temples. Let's start with the Vindicare. I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks. Poof! The Vindicare Temple is the main sniper-based temple. Gigantic sniper rifles for all these assassins. Their whole point is to be able to be in a spot and sit there, eye and scope, for weeks, waiting for their perfect target, taking
camper.
people out from
Gotcha.
literal miles away after extremely long
Pro
time
camper.
periods. The Vindicare Temple is about precise, perfect aim. There have been reports of Vindicares being able to single out particular body parts from
Dude looks like he does like weight work while he's camping though. Like you think of like a sniper who camps out for a long time, and you don't think of like, look how boof he is. He's very freaking toned. Yeah, look at that. Dude he's not just camping. He's like
from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot. Time is done.
then he goes
Packs
back
them
and he
up.
goes to the gym for a
Calidus
ton.
Temple, however,
Ooh.
is a lot more about shape-shifting and deviant art.
Wait, so girls can be orphan assassins too?
It's mostly a female-based one, or at least it
Oh.
seems to be, and this allows a lot of body augmentation for certain individuals to be able to kind of transmorph themselves and infiltrate areas that are problems. These assassins will end up taking missions
looks
that
like
take
kinda
them
like Lady
years,
Deadpool.
2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up, just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed, or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And lots of drawings. The Eversor Temple, just kind of disturbing.
Kind of called it.
The Eversor Temple is about when you don't want anything to come back alive, friend or foe. You want it all dead.
Oh,
and
leave
Eversor
no
is
witnesses.
psychogenically conditioned with just psychotherapy and psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger. It does the Clockwork Orange style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning, I guess is the term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs and they cryo-freeze you. And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything is dead.
Wow,
and
they
then
just,
you
like-
defrost full of just all this insane, mind-boggling psychotherapy and psychedelic drugs, and you just go to town. Yeah, if you don't care if anyone comes back alive. You're like, all right, lost cause, send them in.
And then if he doesn't, if the planet's not wiped, you just like drop another one. I don't know. You're like, okay, I took out about 75% of it. Let's drop one more. You know.
Finally, there's the most bizarre temple, the Caluxus Temple. The Caluxus assassins are feared even among the other temples. So that blank gene, the people will go to the Caluxus Temple with this as well. And this is where they can harness that to be massively anti-psyker or even just anti-regular people. They are seen with extreme fear and distrust among many, many people. They are described by the Eldar by quote as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable feeling from that blank gene I mentioned.
Except for now they're evil.
And then imagine them being taught and given equipment to amplify it by 100. If normally regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker, oh no. The sheer presence of a Caluxus assassin is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out and rip your nails off than even being near this person. The Caluxus assassin is when you want psychers to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees and ask you to gun them down because it is a suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The motto of that temple is, "That which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear." Now, for the tabletop, assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what Imperium faction you are.
Oh, they're like for hire?
They do a lot of work for themselves, but at the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse. And they work.
Pick one. Pick one. In what way? Like, which one I would be? Or, like, which one I think is the coolest? Yes, both? See, they both would imply that there's possibly two different answers here. I say I don't think I've done a deep dive enough to know which one. See, like, I might be biased to be like, oh, this one's a girl, and I don't want to choose that one just because it's a girl. I'm not really usually into deception classes anyway. Snipey Boy kind of appeals to me a bit. Honestly. Sniper Boy is very, very to the, like, you know, just get it done. And done well. I don't know what you're abbreviating, but please do not do that abbreviation.
The way you generally want them to, though. You want to cause some distortion and weird stuff.
Yeah, please say combat points.
You want to just murder swaths of infantry and then blow up Eversor. You want to kill that one guy, Vindicare, and if you have a lot of psychers, Caluxus. It's a nice little, like, jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you want to kill. And you get to choose which is really fun. But now, let's talk about the last human faction. We can round this video out before we do part 2. The Inquisition.
Well,
and we have a lot to talk about with them.
Well, on the subject of heresy.
Oh boy.
I do not know the Inquisition yet. I've not yet.
Where do I even begin with the Inquisition? Take every secret police you can think of. The KGB,
what do you
the
expect
Gestapo, the CIA, FBI, any of these kinds of people. And then mark it up by about 10 and give them the most power in the entire Imperium. No, you know what? How about this? This right here, it's not just a quote. This is the Imperial motto.
Okay.
The motto of the Inquisition. I apologize for my bad pronunciation. Innocentia nihil probat. Innocence proves nothing.
Oh.
The most powerful organization in the Imperium. The secret police. Their #1 motto is innocence proves nothing. The Inquisition goes around like the secret police or like detectives to find issues in the Imperium. And they have different ordos depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus, the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious, they deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and Malleus is demons. They all have different specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them as an Inquisitor.
Cheer 500, buckle up, get ready for some real malarkey. They put Space Marines on edge.
Oh boy. Thank you for the biddies.
Has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship and a crew, and they go out to find problems and interrogate people a lot. They are above the law in every department over Space Marines. Now, the Space Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors.
What about the Custodes?
They are looking to investigate and figure out.
I guess they investigate the Custodes as well, so it's kind of like, Oh my god, his face up there on the cherubim.
Cults and demonic incursions and possible Xenos issues like Genestealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning that stuff and actually doing detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit
are immune to being investigated. Okay.
And yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot of time being very diligent to make sure that all of these...
Is there a reason why most females we've seen always have white hair? Because, like, if this is an Inquisition, she's very similar to the Sisters of, the Sisters of Battle also have white hair. Stress? You know what, that's fair. Stress does cause white hair.
These leads they
90s artwork, no idea someone has a fetish.
follow are proper and correct. They're basically space detectives with just enormous power.
Well, you know how popular, like, anime dudes with white hair are, right?
And we haven't even talked about Exterminatus yet. Exterminatus. Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved. I deem that this planet is demon infested, and taking it back will cost too many resources and is not worth it. I have now committed Exterminatus on this planet. I will now sign the death warrant of an entire Imperium planet, as it is unfit to take and better to be destroyed than allow the enemy to hold it. This can mean saturation bombardment. This can mean cracking the planet's core and breaking it apart. Doesn't matter. Render this planet inhospitable to all life. Yes, the innocence proves nothing people are the only people who can choose. This planet must die in its entirety. Yeah, you're playing the villain. Now, it is memed a lot, but most Inquisitors are very rare to do Exterminatus. Exterminatus is a very crazy thing. There's only so many worlds that you don't want to destroy all of them. Now, naturally, with the memes aside, there are some people who are a little bit rough on this one. But most Inquisitors generally don't like to do Exterminatus a ton, but it is an option they have. And it's a crazy option when you think about it. Secret Police Inquisition are unfortunately not represented on the tabletop very much. You generally kind of put one in your army. If you like it, you have a couple special options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well, and personally they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort put into them, and they're not quite where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk about a big story of a whole bunch of Space Marines killing something, right? It's just a big battle story. It's not as interesting. Having that intrigue and that moral dilemma that an Inquisitor has makes for a lot better media. And honestly, the more people do it, I think it's better, because then it adds a little more humanity to the Warhammer horrible, horrible grimdarkness. And wow, we just finished the humans, all right? Come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos, because we got to talk about the 4 Chaos Gods and all the Chaos Marine Legions and the Tau and the Necrons and the Orks, and oh boy, we got a lot. I'll see you in part 2.
See you in part 2. Okay. I am I'm low on fluids. I need hydration. So, we will take a quick, like, 5-minute BRB. I'll play in ads so that when we get back, there should be no ads for a while. And then we will be watching part 2. And learning about the Chaos Gods and the Chaos Legions and all the other non-humanity aligned things. Yeah. So, BRB. Feel free to check out my main YouTube. In the meantime, we have a couple new shorts up. So please do check that out on my break here. BRB. Boop. Alright, we are back. And we are on to every single Warhammer 40k faction explained part 2 made by Bricky. So, let's get on with it. Wham.
Hey all, this is part 2 in a 2-part series on the Warhammer races. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, we do the Imperium of Man. You can check that out in the description, and I would highly recommend you watch that to get context for this episode. If you already have, go ahead and keep on watching. So after an entire episode of nothing but humans, we can now talk about chaos. Which involves humans again.
Humans again.
Nevertheless, we also got demons and shit.
I just felt someone grab my ass.
T-Dog the Kill, thank you for the follow.
Like hard, Nick.
So, as I've mentioned many times before, we've discussed the warp, the immaterium, the hellish landscape, the purgatory dimension realm between the material realm of our existence. Now, in the warp, it's terrifying, horrible, there are demons everywhere, things are crazy,
Look at them
all your
demon
minds
legs.
and thoughts and emotions get projected there.
Oh my god, the
It
chat is
both
working! The chat is working! Do you guys see that? The chat is working! What? Guys, I can see your comments on the screen, up in the corner. Look in the corner, look in the corner. The corner. Wow! Say hi, YouTube! Say hi, YouTube! Oxy. Oxy, I will kick you out of Warhammer-related streams if you can't behave yourself. I know other people have been telling you to tone it down a little, so be fair.
Formless and empty. It is vast and tiny. It obeys the laws of time and physics while simultaneously does absolutely nothing of the sort. It is a hodgepodge and a culmination of just unknowable, eldritch, horrifying shit. And there are 4 gods that permeate in chaos and the warp. These are the 4 major chaos gods. And if we wish to learn about chaos,
Are there
we
minor
learn
chaos
about
gods?
each and every single one of these chaos gods. First up, we have Khorne, and he is the easiest. Khorne is your classic Satan. He is all about anger, murder, fighting, blood, guts, death. You ever heard the term blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne?
Blood for the blood god, skulls
Khorne.
for the
The
skull
whole
throne!
idea is that he is all about the fury and strength of battle. He doesn't care where blood comes from so long as blood is flowing. He wants to fight and murder and carnage and slaughter and death, 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 death. That is Khorne. Very simple to understand. Next up you have Tzeentch, and Tzeentch is the god of change. However, the god of change, it's permeates in so many different other ways. He's the most eldritch of all the demon gods. He has this weird way to always be plucking at the strings of the universe. He's always conniving and scheming and doing his best to cause as much little bullshit as he can. Tzeentch is unknowable. Everything that makes sense, he will and won't do. Every future and
Is he kind of like Hermaeus Mora in Skyrim? That seems like kind of similar.
setting and every type of destiny or fate is all foretold and also changeable. It is set in stone while also completely random. He knows what everything is going to happen and also that none of it's going to happen. You would ask Tzeentch a question. That question leads to 3 more questions, and those questions lead to the heat death of the universe, which asks 4 answers to those questions. And then he thinks to himself, what are questions even really? And are you even asking the questions, or are you simply giving paths to answers and other horse shit? Tzeentch is just, I'm gonna fuck with stuff. He is yes and he is no. He is the understanding and he is complexity. He is unknowable.
Korn likes to fucky wucky up your body. Tzeentch likes to fucky wucky up your mind. And Slaanesh just likes to fucky wucky.
And that's what the God of Change is about. Very bizarre. And he likes birds a lot. I don't know why. Next up, we got Papa Nurgle. Papa Nurgle, he loves you for who you are. Probably not. He will murder you just the same. But Papa Nurgle is about rot, pestilence.
Wait, did he say Papa Nurgle? Did he say Papa? Did he say? He said Papa Nurgle, didn't he?
Death and decay. He is the end of everything.
Of course
Him
he did.
And
He's a
Tzeentch
streamer,
do not
right?
like each other very much because where Tzeentch represents change and adjustment, Nurgle represents stagnation and death. He is all about miasma and pestilence and large bloat and pus and organs and people just being sedentary, sloth. He is the idea that everything will rot and decay and die. Nothing is certain besides decay and death. All of us will end up the same way, and broken down through just sheer, never-ending decomposition.
The Ad
So the joke
Mechanicus
that Nurgle always
must
loves you is
love
generally because
Nurgle,
of that.
then.
Because we all end up the same. We all rot, and we all die and wither. That's Nurgle, and he's got a general theme of course, pestilence and different
They
kinds
love
of
flesh,
diseases
you
and
know?
sickness and things of that nature. That's generally Nurgle. He's pretty easy to understand as well, and he chunk. Finally, we have the youngest of the Chaos Gods, and that is Slaanesh, also known as the Prince of Pleasure, or
I like
the
that
God
he's
of
censored too.
unspeakable excess. Slaanesh is generally referred to with sex, but it's not only sex, it's just that's a good avenue if you want to make stuff. Slaanesh is just the idea of the senses of the body being cranked to not just 11, but more like 17. See, we'll discuss Slaanesh a little bit more when we talk about the Eldar, because they done fucked up, but it, or whatever, is mainly about just the excess of emotions. And therefore, sex is generally a large part of it. However, it's mostly
Dude, his face, he's
and
like,
torture.
he's like,
Lots of pain, torture, but sometimes sexually
like,
related or drugs related. Lots of drugs. Lots of drugs. Slaanesh gets off on everything. Extremes in happiness, extremes in sadness, extremes in pain and sadism and masochism. And of course, that goes along with the sex part of it as well.
Okay.
It's generally referred
get
to
it, Bricky.
with sex because of the color scheme, very purple, lots of exposed genitalia. A lot of their models have like exposed nipples and stuff. And that is generally the theme you go for from a physical side, but it really embodies everything, mainly pain and also the excessive amounts of emotion. So when it comes down to it, you'll find a lot of them have things like spikes or whips or any kind of BDSM style gear.
I saw
because it is
multiple nipples there.
unspeakable excess, the Prince of Pleasure, everything in excess to the point where it is just sheer frightening. That is Slaanesh in a nutshell. A little bit bizarre and a little hard to describe sometimes, but as we talk more about the Dark Eldar later in this video, you'll understand it far, far better and far more than you'd want to. Now you might be thinking, why would anyone ever want to join Chaos? They all look horrifying, screwed up, and just frightening things, right? Well, the thing is that, of course, one, your mind is put into the warp and the Imperium, so you can be easily swayed by chaos demons when they get into your head, especially if you're a psyker. Sometimes regiments of the less mentally strong people, whether they be civilians or, say, low-level guardsmen or conscripts, can be easily swayed by this and become chaos cultists and stuff, and they serve their dark gods and whatever god they personally prefer. However, and this might seem strange, chaos in their own right isn't necessarily evil. See, the warp is every manifestation of emotion and being, every soul, everything of existence. This includes all the good things. all the different Chaos gods have another side to their coin. Khorne might be death, murder, slaughter, slaughter, but he's also got this weird sense of survival of the fittest, trial by combat, and honor. Khorne will never lie to you. Khorne will never stab you in the back. Khorne isn't about conniving and scheming. Khorne is about straight up mano-y-mano, you versus me, get in the ring, we're gonna murder each other hard right now. It may not be a good thing at the end of the day, but it is that other side of the coin. Him and Tzeentch generally don't get along because Tzeentch is that conniving schemer, but he's also about the idea of hope. Where there is change for your predicament.
And like wisdom
there's change
and stuff
for your
like that
problem.
too, I believe.
The hope of the galaxy, the ability to bend the world to your will, the idea that your fate is not set in stone, but in reality that you control your own destiny and can control it whenever you want, the changer of ways. That is Tzeentch. And of course, Tzeentch and Nurgle hate each other because while Nurgle does represent stagnation, death, and decay, he also represents finality, an ending. The fact that you can be mentally at peace knowing that you will end and how you will end. Fear of the unknown, fear of change is not present with Nurgle. With Nurgle, everything will rot and die, and that provides that finality, that ability that this is over. We are all the same, and we will all end the same. We know the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to live and die and rot. And with that, it brings peace of mind. Slaanesh is a lot more simple. While they are the excess of emotion, they are also the representation of emotion. Slaanesh embodies happiness. Slaanesh embodies excitement,
pleasure,
and joy,
love.
and pleasure. Not only in the sense of the physical,
I wouldn't say love necessarily.
Bam!
But yeah,
style
pleasure.
of pleasure, but also everything else like food and drink and air on your cheek and sunlight, the feeling, emotion and feeling. All of that is also represented with Slaanesh. So you have to ask, why are they always represented as super evil skulls and spikes on everything and want to murder everybody?
I mean, everybody's represented by super evil spikes and skulls on everything. Have you seen the Space Marines? There's skulls and bones everywhere. Everything looks super evil.
I don't really got an answer for you on that one. My assumption is that because mentally humans may think worse thoughts, even if we don't act on them, and therefore they're projected in the warp more. That one's a little bit weird. I don't know. This is me spitballing right now, but I don't know. You need a super bad guy. You already got the Imperium of Man. You need somebody to be a little bit worse than them. So you got demons. Honestly, who cares? I just want to buy like a bird magician. Look at him.
Bird
So
magician.
cool. So combining all this together on the tabletop, Chaos Demons are generally very melee based. They run in, go really hard. You have lots of summoning and conjuring, tons of spells. Generally a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons. You got hordes of little boys and tons of big guys. Demons are as they seem. Demons. Nurgle is slow, Khorne is super scary in melee, you've got Tzeentch who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then Slaanesh who is all melee, really, really, really fast but squishy, but in lots of hordes of tons of melee and pain damage, of course. So overall, the demons are a huge part of 40k and a massive threat to almost every single faction with the exception of a couple. However, the big part about demons is also transferred into the other 9 primaries.
Got a Slaaneshi army and I just painted them all to look like VTubers. Like I'll be like, okay, here's the Bow, there's Numi, there's there's Cinder, Slaaneshi, there's like you know. I feel like that could be fun. Cause like, anime girls and tempting you into liking anime even more, I guess. Who would the main Slaaneshi be? Matara? I feel like Matara would be like, wouldn't she technically run the bugs? Wouldn't she be like ruler of the bugs? Yeah, the Tyranids.
Marks we didn't talk about, which are the Chaos Space Marines. So Horse and all of his boys All of them in the Primarchs, they have all also become Chaos Boys, and they all have their own special Chaos Legions, specializing in so many different things, just like the Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death, the regular Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines aren't a whole lot different than the regular Space Marines. They have the same armor, generally the same training and toughness. They just specialize in different kinds of things. And also a lot of the Primarchs have ascended into greater is it greater demons? They're demon Primarchs at this point. Gigantic, horrifying man-demon hybrids that are pretty awesome, if I'm gonna be honest. They look really, really cool. But them and their associated legions that they are a part of are all kind of going out there and causing a large ruckus.
It does look pretty cool. Come on, chat.
Considering the raw strength and firepower of a legion of Space Marines, imagine that entire legion just converting to chaos and immediately fighting you. It's generally pretty horrifying. There's a lot of them, so I gotta write them down. But you've got the Emperor's Children with Primarch Fulgrim, loyal to Slanesh. These people, they are some messed up people.
Look, he had a freaking like face strapped to his pauldron.
Just sensory overload.
He looks like Darth Vader.
Of drugs, tons of torture. And I think Fulgrim is a demon Primarch right now. And oh god, I am terrified to see what that man looks like. At least on the tabletop, because Emperor's Children are not good people. You've got the Iron Warriors, which are kind of like opposite of the Imperial Fists, with Primarch Perturabo, I believe is his name. They're Chaos Undivided. They just kind of serve Chaos in a general aspect instead of choosing
Undivided.
one of the four. But the Iron Warriors are big on the siege and fortification, and they're basically entirely against the Imperial Fists and are a major rival. Perturabo, I believe, is also still alive, and I'm also very interested to see what he looks like, because Demon Primarchs are badass. You've got the Night Lords with Primarch Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz is dead, which is good because he's a sick fuck. But the Night Lords are generally about terrorizing people and terrorism. They're generally about fear, and rightly so. You've got the World Eaters with Primarch Angron, still alive, also excited to see. Angron, if you think you've known an angry person, Angron is the angriest son of a bitch you will ever know. Angron removed parts of his brain that didn't make him angry, so he could be angrier. Angron. Fucker's mad. You've got the Death Guard with Primarch Mortarion. They actually have their own special codex and their own major army on the tabletop. Mortarion himself is actually one of the models. And look at him.
That looks
sick.
At him.
It's
the painting
so
on
cool
that?
looking. Of course, Nurgle based, obviously. So very slow, but very tanky. You've got the Word Bearers with Primarch Lorgar. Lorgar is, I believe, still alive. I don't know what's up with him at the current moment, but the Word Bearers are generally the people who caused all the major problems in the beginning.
Too
At least
angry
I blame
to die,
them for
yeah.
it. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch Horus. Get fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch Alfarius Omegon. Chaos.
Why he just say get fucked, nerd, and then just not explain any of it? Is there a reason for this? Oh, just because he's dead? or yeah, I guess Horus is dead. You're right.
And then finally, you've got the Thousand Sons with Primarch Magnus the Nerd. The Thousand Sons also have their own book, just like the
This
Death
looks
Guard.
like some
Magnus
Zeech.
is also a
Yeah.
tabletop model. He looks super cool, as you can tell, and they're all super heavily Psyker and kind of Egyptian themed. They look pretty neat.
Ooh.
But overall, with all of these Chaos Space Marine
Hi,
factions,
Babuzita.
you can play as a lot of different ones, but the main ones that you can really work at are standard Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, as well as the Death Guard and Thousand Sons, as they are the most fleshed out, especially on the tabletop at least. See this right here? This is a really good way to describe the Chaos Space Marines. What the thick-headed fools with their broken corpse of an emperor fail to understand is that not only can they never defeat us, but they cannot hide or flee or shield themselves from the triumph of chaos. They are finite and we are unbound, undivided. They must not err, or they shall fall to heresy. All who fall join our cause. Every imperial fool who dares to open his eyes is a willing recruit. They strive merely to hold back our fury and might, and it consumes them. Thus, you can see chaos is inevitable. We lurk not only beyond their grasp and at their gates, we lurk within the darkness of their souls, on the tip of their tongues, in their tortured dreams. We are them, but freed from the shackles of ignorance. We are them, grown strong, evolved. We are them, but so much more. As hardcore as that quote is, the saddest part is they're mostly right. Chaos is basically unkillable. You could probably get rid of Space Marines, a decent amount, the Chaos Space Marines that is, but every soul that dies goes to the warp. Every Chaos soul will end up back in the warp. And depending on how hard you killed them, they will come back at some point. Every demon you banish will return at some point. Chaos is unstoppable. The warp is unending. And while maybe there is at some point some way to stop them somehow, the resources to do so, the requirements to do so, are so far beyond the reaches of man and the other races at the current moment that really it's just an unstoppable force that just keeps on coming and is just barely being slowed. Chaos is by far the biggest threat. They are without number, their legions are everywhere, and yeah, they're pretty scary. So, I promise, we're done with humans now. Let's talk about some Xenos.
Xenos, the Eldar.
So let's talk about the Eldar, or also known as the Eldari, which are a super hyper-specialized and very technologically advanced race of, well, elf people. They were, as well,
I forgot they're
responsible for
elves.
the creation of Slaanesh, the newest demon god. How'd they do that?
The elves made the sex god?
On a world-ending scale.
The elves made the sex god.
See, back in the day, it was just Khorne, Tzeentch, and Nurgle. And the Eldar are very, very ancient, millions of years. These Eldar, however, have a bit of a sensory problem. You know, every kind of pain or feeling that you have is a little bit amplified compared to the normal. However, with Eldar, as their race advanced so excessively, and they became so self-reliant, and everything became so easy, there was no requirement
too hard.
for food production
Sounds
anymore.
like it.
There was no shortages. Everything was basically done. Everyone was so comfortable, and that comfort breeded this weird sedation, and that sedation breeded the requirement for more and more debauchery.
Debauchery!
Debauchery! Debauchery! When everything you have can be so easily acquired, you will end up down this road of pure debauchery. All of the senses the Eldar had that were so powerful, things like feeling, happiness, sadness, and just evil and good, all needed to be satisfied and satiated. And the desire to satiate these senses grew more and more with worse and worse debauchery. It started off with things like sex and drugs becoming so much more rampant because these are the first things you generally turn to when requirements for living are so easily accessible. It would get to the point that made Sander Cohen in BioShock look sane. All right, this is the kind of debauchery it led to. It was constantly satisfying and satiating these sexual and sadistic or masochistic fantasies that only elevated and elevated. And this was species.
Guys, this is why you have to play Warhammer so that girls can never tempt you into such things. You're above that. You're too nerdy. You can't. This is why evil temptress is trying to seduce us. Exactly. Burn the heretic.
Why? People started going down darker, more depraved.
See what
and more
happened to the
violent
Eldar
paths as time went on. However, some people didn't entirely take to that. Some of the Eldar were looking at this depraved species that they had become and said, no thanks.
Are you saying that girls are playing Warhammer to tempt Warhammer nerds to Slaanesh? Look, I may know a couple, or like a girl who definitely is a Slaaneshi. That might be her prerogative, but that is not my prerogative. If anything, I'd be probably aligned with another Chaos God. But you know, we don't speak of heresy here, and that's only in theory. Cough, 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 corn.
Dog, I'm good. And they bailed. These are the Craft World Eldar. They left on these giant continent-sized starships called Craft Worlds. They believed in learning the old ways of the Eldar and pushing away from this depravity and debauchery and going back to their main roots. And so they would segment themselves on these giant craft worlds far in the outer reaches
pretty.
of space. They even had this thing called the Webway. Remember what we mentioned about warp travel with the Imperium? Well, the Eldar had something way safer called a Webway. And the Eldar Webway is actually like a pocket dimension kind of thing. And in that pocket dimension, there are also more horrible...
You know what? Before we get more into this, I feel like we should have a Twitch poll. We need to have a Chaos God poll here. Poll. So let me start a poll here. And you know what? For YouTube people, comment your favorite Chaos God. YouTube, you can comment your favorite Chaos God. In the meantime, I'm gonna start a poll. And then we're gonna put in brackets, theoretical. You are not a heretic. Just so that you guys know you're safe. You're safe to. It's only theoretical. Like, you know, if you had to be tempted into chaos, what would you go with? So let me make sure I'm spelling all these right. Corn, Slane. You know what? I don't need to spell these right. Slanish. Nurgle. Nurgle's easy to spell. And then Zeech. And then we'll have this pull up for 10 minutes. 10 minutes gives you guys time to vote. Okay, the poll is now up there for you guys to vote on.
Depraved groups and clans that would spend their time
That's
in there.
cool, Oxy. That's
And
cool to
if
hear.
you imagine the debauchery was bad already, these were debauchery X10. So all of this continued, and it bloated until Slaanesh just burst forth. All that emotion, all that mental, well, thought processes, I suppose, all of this in such a condensed space. Don't forget, this is all being shot, all their souls as well, into the warp. All this depravity right into the warp. So what happened? Boom! Slaanesh was birthed and killed off 90% of the entire Eldar population. Untold trillions had their souls ripped from their bodies and their actual fleshy bodies devoured by Slaanesh demons. The entirety of the Eldar race was eaten alive and their souls consumed to the Prince of
entirety?
Pleasure.
So like they don't
All
exist
of
anymore?
them
All of
got
them.
fucked up.
All
it was
of them.
so bad
Oh.
that it literally ripped a warp hole into the fabric of the Materium called the Eye of Terror. That's literally this like
Not all?
quasi horrifying gateway
90%.
portal
Oh, like,
from
okay.
the Materium and the Immaterium right next to Cadia. And it is horrifying. So this Slaanesh, also known as She Who Thirsts by the Eldar, slaughtered the entire population except for a couple. Those in the craft worlds were actually not affected by this as they were so far in the reaches of the galaxy. That crazy crack, that birth of Slaanesh only affected the ones in the center. So these craft world Eldar were able to escape, but Slaanesh got their sights on them.
Well,
Every time an Eldar will die, their soul doesn't just pass into the warp naturally. It goes straight to Slaanesh,
Oh.
craft world or not. What about those people in the Webway? Well, imagine that giant birth happening, but they were only able to just barely get a grasp onto you. Slaanesh was just barely able to hold on. These people are the Dark Eldar, or also known as the Drukhari. The Eldar population right now is so massively small. It is minuscule compared to any of the other most of the other populations in the universe. The Eldar are consistently having issues trying to get their population
Low birth
up
rates, yeah.
because as their souls are constantly being hungered by from Slaanesh, they realize their entire species is doomed.
One in chat if you would help the Eldar people with their low birth rates. I mean, how dare you? That's heresy.
And they understand it very well. Since the time of the fall, our race has been haunted by what we, in our reckless pursuit of hedonistic indulgence, gave birth to. Though our dreams once overturned worlds and quenched suns, we are now but fitful shadows clinging to the edge of existence. All the stars in the sky cannot blot out the hateful glare of the red moon's eye. The birthing place of the great enemy pulses.
You called me Sister Ayumi. You know what? I've always been a big sister, so I feel like with all these brothers I've been introduced to, it's kind of suitable that I'm into Warhammer now, right? Oneesan is sister, and I am Ayumi virtual Oneesan, so for your virtual big sister. I think that fits quite well in the terms of Warhammer
casting
things.
its shadow over all we have ever done and all we ever shall. Every twisted strand of fate and casting of the runes leads me to this time, to this place, and it is clear that the final battle awaits me at the ancient Crone worlds, a conflict the likes of which has not been seen since the Monkai warred amongst themselves and their corpse of a seer fell to his traitorous son. Is coming, and all my steps lead towards it, no matter that I walk other paths. I see the stars stained red with the blood of the Monkai, and though their wars do not concern me, I would gladly let them destroy one another. I know that to avoid this fight is to condemn my race to inevitable doom, and though all I see is darkness, I know that I will not flinch from my destiny. And now let's talk about cute plastic models.
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
The first playable race we have for the Eldar are the Craft World Eldar and living in those Craft World starships I mentioned earlier. And each of them have their own kind of Craft World, almost like a Space Marine Legion. Each Craft World is in itself its own special kind of group. And the Eldar themselves are very fast and rely a lot on trickery. They are squishy, a bit weak, but they're very in tune as psychers. Tons of psychers across the entire Eldar population, and their weaponry and abilities are fast and extremely hard-hitting, but of course rather fragile. Understanding an Eldar's brain is an exercise in futility. They are all over the place in confusion and trickery on a whole galactic scale. They fight weird, they think weirder, and Eldar in their own right really rely on this to keep their species alive. They need to think about deception and the strangeness of what they do if they truly want to not be immediately murdered and slaughtered wholesale thanks to their entirely small population. However, I must say that it seems like their population is getting slightly better. These craft worlds hold millions upon millions of people. And as they continually, reproduce and have their craft worlds expand, losing a few people in battle, while hurts a lot, they aren't really losing what's extremely precious to them. It's not like every single death means the death of their species. It seems like they're kind of on the upturn a little bit. They're still a doomed race being sucked into Slaanesh every time someone dies, but they are definitely doing a little bit better than they were before. Eldar are fast, cunning, and what they don't make up for in tankiness, they make up for in extremely advanced weaponry. They also call humans Monkai, which is something I mentioned earlier.
Monkai?
That is a derogatory slur.
They calling us monkeys? What the heck? Also, Rick Sager, that is the last time I'm thanking you for a follow. Stop unfollowing and re-following me. Just get your name said. That is the last time. I won't be fooled again. Like, there was no numbers. You're getting called out on this. Stop unfollowing and re-following. Decide on something.
Slur for humans in the Warhammer world. Why is it called Monkai? Well, it's because you can't, in your game, call people monkeys.
Oh.
On the tabletop, exactly what I said. Not very tanky, generally pretty squishy, hit like trucks, and move at Mach 5. Fast, hit hard, die fast. Exactly how it sounds. They've been good for a very long time, too. We've
been deep diving into lore. That's what's been happening, Kyle. Welcome to the chat.
Bring only death and leave only carry on. It is a message even a human can understand. Eldar. So, Drukhari. let's talk about the Dark Eldar.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up Is Fucked Up. That's fucked up.
So,
oh man, we got even hotter elves. Okay,
those
let's
people
go.
I mentioned in the webway, in the super deranged cults and the depraved people of the Eldar, in the webway, they didn't quite get a hold onto them. Slaanesh like has them, but it has them on like by the pinky finger. And they're slowly being consumed by Slaanesh, but they found out they can stave her off by doing Slaanesh things.
By
The Dark
doing
Eldar
Slaanesh
are
things.
by far the worst, most horrifying, disgusting, depraved, and brutal race in all of Warhammer 40k. These are entirely a group of people whose full purpose to save their species from extinction, to go into planets, raid them, and take as many slaves as they possibly can to torture them for 1, 5, 10, 20, a million years, because that torture will keep them from dying. They look very BDSM style too. They definitely have a lot more spiky bits and they have a lot more of that kind of leathery black look to them. But let's
I can't help.
example. Let's say
can't
you're
help
an
but
upstanding
look,
Imperial citizen
respectfully,
living life
Tommy,
on a regular planet. You get invaded by the Necrons. The Necrons will shoot you with a deatomizer, and
If
you
evil, why beautiful, Tommy?
will be destroyed in a millisecond, and that's it. Not the worst way to go. You are invaded by Chaos Marines or something. You take a bolter shot to the head or a chain sword across your stomach, and you get cut in half. Painful, but not the worst. The Orks arrive. They beat you to death. Hurts, but, you know, whatever. Tyranids, they eat you alive. It's pretty rough. The Dark Eldar. The Dark Eldar. This is going to get a little graphic. I apologize. You pray you die. You don't. You are instead taken as a human slave. Your life will be endless work and agony.
Okay, wait. Before we go into what the Dark Eldar are going to do to us on a Saturday night, it looks like the majority of people in chat who chose to vote on which Chaos God theoretically they would align with, Nurgle has won by 8 points at 67%. In second is 25% Khorne and 8% Slaaneshi. Siege gets no one. We ain't about that, apparently.
24/7. They will make sure you can't not die, as your pain satisfies
Nurgle, the
them.
god of bed rotting.
They will hook you up to all manner of torture devices. They will inject pain-based like stimuli drugs directly into your nervous system. They will slowly run razor blades across your skin. They will fillet you and pull out your teeth and your fingernails one by one. They will remove your appendages and your skin and wait for it to grow back so they can do it again. They will murder and torture and use the R word, it rhymes with grape, your entire family in front of you and do the exact same thing to them. You yourself will also be rhymes with grape anywhere and everywhere possible. And this will occur for 20 years until you are no longer satisfying to them. And then you will be contorted, crushed, and twisted into some form of trophy, a fleshy trophy, or a ring, or a couch, or a TV stand, or perhaps a wonderful hat, while you are, of course, still alive and breathing, and you will become a moaning, fleshy trophy for eternity.
Oh, that's
and that is what happens when you are taken by the Dark Eldar. They are the most depraved, most horrifying race in all of 40k. They look the part, and they do it so they all don't die. They are literally forced to do this, because if they don't, Slaanesh's grip will get harder, and they will have their souls pulled away. So long as they keep doing this, Slaanesh is like, "You're doing good, man. You're doing solid. You keep that shit up, you elf-eared bastards." That's the Dark Eldar. That's the Drukhari. They are horrible. On the tabletop, they're actually kind of like Eldar, but more extreme. They are even squishier than the Eldar, but they hit generally even harder. Fast attacks, skirmishers, really quick, speedy, like get around them, do a lot of damage, get away kind of stuff.
They look
That's
cool.
mostly Dark Eldar. Look up the definition of grim dark in a dictionary. You'll find a picture of the Dark Eldar and Sev from Republic Commando. A quote from Mr. Vecht. We are the lords of despair, masters of terror. Dread and agony are our meat and wine, and they are plentiful indeed. Dark Eldar. Let's talk about the Harlequins.
Look, a lot of things in Warhammer look cool. I am more so appreciating the amazing paint jobs everybody's doing on these models. When I see the little armies of the people, I'm like, wow, that looks so cool. We're not saying that they're cool. We're just saying the paints look cool. Just saying.
The Harlequins are a bizarre race of Eldar. They're demonic clown performers. They're like a weird mix of Sander Cohen from Bioshock and Jin from League of Legends, but in a more clown theme. They're artists of death and perfecters of their craft. They do not belong to craft worlds or any of the weird Drukhari people. They guard something called the Black Library, which is this giant tome of never-ending knowledge deep in the heart of the Eldar webway, and also guarded by their god named Kegorok, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He is the laughing god, but it's the Eldar's laughing god? And these are the Harlequins, the Harlequin clowns. These are Eldar clowns, okay? So imagine the things that an Eldar, these depraved individuals, would find funny. And this is the god of that. It's a horror clown. These are gods of horror for us normal people. For them, they're like, oh, it's so funny. They're all dying horribly. Honk, honk. They're very bizarre and difficult to describe. They've escaped the ruinous powers of Slash somehow, but their main thing is guarding that Black Library. And the Harlequins just... they're demon clown performers. They're barely any models on the tabletop. They're good in melee. They're demon clowns.
Demon clowns.
I'm not sure. I got a quote. It is too easy for an Eldar to embrace the obscene virtues of chaos, for Slaanesh is nothing more than a manifestation of the Eldar mind in its most wild and unconstrained form. Human morality is meaningless to the Eldar, and to the dark side of the Eldar mind, all life is to be expended at a whim. Cruelty and generosity are but the impulse of a moment. Beauty and sensuality are virtues that can be expressed in bloodshed just as easily as in song. To an unfettered Eldar mind, there is neither sanity nor madness, but merely a wave of perfect existence fulfilled by its own savage momentum. They're very strange. The Harlequins, Drukhari, Eldar, they are an anomaly that make humans seem completely easy to understand.
Killer clown elves from outer space.
Rekindling their
Killer clown elves
to horrifying
from outer space. Basically.
Murder and also clowns. They're all over the place, but honestly, they represent quite well and are rather interesting, especially with the whole Slaanesh murdering everyone bit. So, yeah, Eldar. Now, bugs.
Mom, they following me, Mom. They following me. The bugs.
The bugs.
The Tyranids. Now, you want to talk something a lot more fun, a little more simple than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans? Let's talk the Tyranids. They're bugs. Do they look like Zerg? Hell yeah, they look like Zerg. You want to know why they look like Zerg? Because they were actually supposed to be what Zerg were. Apparently StarCraft was supposed to be a 40k game in the beginning. Hence why they look so much like Eldar, Zerg, and the Imperium of Man.
Oh!
Like, kind of space marine-y. Those Marines, huh?
What? Really? Whoa, I never knew that. That's kind of cool. Man. Huh, okay. That makes a lot of things click here for me. Interesting. Huh. Wonder if there's any law disputes over that being too similar, or I don't know what. I wonder what the legalities of all that is. Because, like, some things are a bit too similar, you know? It's old.
A little bit space marine-y to me.
I know it's old, but...
maybe. I don't know. You really fucked up on that one, Games Workshop, didn't ya? Tyranids are a giant infestation of unfathomable proportions. These are giant, extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms that are basically
I think Tyranids were out before Starship Troopers. Pretty sure for Warhammer, right? Can anyone confirm that? Oh, Starship Troopers was an old book, but if we're thinking about the movie, though...
much biomass as they possibly can to evolve and mutate to be extremely potent and powerful and kill and eat anything in their path. They are probably the least evil faction in all of 40k because all they want to do is eat shit. They want to
They just want to eat
the
nom
entire
nom nom.
galaxy. They hangry and we food.
Hangy.
Also, this Tyranid hive mind has a presence in the warp. In fact, Tyranids in their own right have a massive presence in the warp. They have a thing called the shadow in the warp specifically, where when they are coming in to invade a planet, they have this weird ability to kind of cut off the warp on all the psychers on that planet. And how do you get help across the stars? Well, you need the warp because you need that for interstellar travel. So with people unable to call for help from the Tyranids, these are just easy pickings. And an entire giant Tyranid hive fleet comes out of orbit and just will massacre,
thank you for the
absorbing
follow.
all that biomass and turning them and all of their other Tyranids into even more advanced monsters. They come in so many varieties too, all based on
So
what
many
is
bugs.
important. Tiny little ripper swarms for scouting and having little dudes eat people up, to the Hormigons, Termagants, and Genestealers, all the way to the Hive Guard and the Exocrines and the Swarm
They're
War,
really fun to
Tyrants
hack
and
through,
the
that's
giant
for
battle
sure.
fleets, and even something as crazy as the Hierophant Biotitan.
Although personally, so far in Space Marine 2, I really like facing the Zeech Marines, Space Marines, because when I tear off their heads, it goes like all explodey like magic, and it's like woo, confetti, and I'm just like, yeah, wow, I love ripping out off heads.
The Tyranids come in all forms and sizes depending on what they require. They are extremely good at anti-biological weaponry. There is no way you can plague them or blight them. They have extremely strong armor, carapaces and such. Tyranids are nigh perfect organisms and are pretty spooky when it comes down to how they handle all of their genetic material. Keep feeding them, they'll keep evolving. They keep on creating new horrifying organisms to spread across the galaxy. And you know what the most terrifying part of the Tyranids is? We might be surrounded. There have been like around 6 or 7 Tyranid
Hey, look, it's Helldivers.
fleets. Behemoth, Chronos, all these different kinds of hive fleets, and they've all arrived in the galaxy from different points, different sections of the...
Wait, if Helldivers is StarCraft, and... Sorry. If Helldivers is Warhammer, and StarCraft is also Warhammer, is everything Warhammer? And then, like, a lot of other games, like Destiny, could also be Warhammer. Because what if it was... Because it's the Golden Age. Before the Emperor and the Horus Heresy. And everything... everything. And the thing is, because Warhammer is so old. Like it's been around since, like, the inception of a lot of these nerdy video games and hobbies we've been in. It's almost like it was it was like the seed that sprouted it all.
Milky Way galaxy
Everything Warhammer.
have had different Tyranids come through. And that is horrifying. Because as far as we know, we could just be surrounded on all sides by Tyranids. The only reason you may not hear a whole lot about Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have a bunch of stories.
Wait. What if the only reason Warhammer exists is because at some point our humanity has delved into the warp through our creative minds, therefore seeing the future of humanity and the chaos beyond, and therefore, what if real life is also Warhammer. Is that heresy? It's too much for my brain. It's too much. Too much is Warhammer. Flix QC, thank you for the follow. Oh my god. Tiny Rose, thank you for the follow.
Off of one hive mind genocidal monsters. All these giant bugs swarming in, killing and eating everybody and evolving. Oh, I mean, as cool as there are, there's some cool characters, the Swarm Lord, Old One Eye. You can't really have a whole bunch of major character-based stories around them. As awesome as they are, they're simple. They want to eat you. They want to eat you and absorb your biomass. They are simple bugs. If you want something a little more complex,
you watch some anime to like, I need some really like fan servicey like brain rot anime after this. I think I just need to not think for a bit after this lore dive. It's not too late. It's too late. I know too much, and the more I know, the more questions I have. Time for interspecies reviews.
I can have all the pot I want, I get around faster than walking, and wherever I need a seat, I can just sit on my balls.
Genestealer cults are a special brand of Tyranid that can slowly infect themselves into different kinds of society. And by infecting them, they can rise up to where they all pray and believe in these regular humans, pray and believe into their Tyranid hive mind gods. And these brood lords and I think they're called patriarchs all can turn an entire world all based into Genestealers. And these are called Genestealer cults. An entire hive world of the Imperium can be turned.
Wait a second. Mata has a cult, and they're all momos, and all the momos think with like a hive mind together. Oh no. I see what she's done. I see.
Turned into nothing but servants of the Tyranid masters just by infecting them and screwing with their genetic code a little bit. They also have this cool like Mad Max look, which is really neat. They are definitely one of the bigger threats to the Imperium besides Chaos. I keep saying biggest threat to the Imperium. They're up there though, because you, dingus, stepped on a bug in middle school. Asshole. There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale, and all we can do is to try to stop the swarms of bioengineered monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salvage our fears. We call it the Tyranid race. But if it is aware of us, it must know us as nothing but prey. Tyranids, they're cool. But are they as cool as the Orks?
Orcs! Super fast!
Orcs. I fucking love orcs. So, yes, the green monsters, the green tide, the green skins. These orcs, they are in fact a race in 40k. The orcs are as exactly what you expect them. They have archaic weapons, they're big boys, they have axes, and they got big old teeth, and they want to kill everything, and there are so many of them. The only reason they haven't taken over the entire galaxy is they can't stop murdering each other. Orcs are so cool. Orcs don't have philosophy. Orcs don't have existential crisis. What matters is who's the biggest orc. You listen to that guy, because he's the biggest orc. He's the big orc. Big biggest orc knows best. You win through the power of imagination. Of all the races I have battled throughout the galaxy, the orc is the hardest to comprehend. They wage war with machines that should not work, care little for strategic gains, and are just as likely to slaughter each other as the enemy. How does one battle an enemy that defies all logic? As an orc, you're enjoying life. You're enjoying the life you're given. Your whole life and job and purpose is to get up and beat each other to death.
Like surprisingly like
the
very
biggest
immersed
orc is the
with
man
the orc
who
legs.
understands everything. He is the boss.
They fit him
and
well.
Orcs have this really weird, like, big, dumb, stereotype British accent, which is just hilarious to me. Those are orcs. You fight. You like to fight. Your whole purpose is to fight. You wage war because you want to wage war. You got your boss over there, and you better listen to the boss, because if you don't listen to the boss will squish you and make you an example for the other orcs. And then you can't fight because orc dead. And orc dead can't fight because the orc dead. Orcs. They scrap together machines out of parts that don't make any sense, and because they believe, they have the mental imagination that that machine will run, it'll run. If that machine's out of gas, you're driving that machine with your fellow orcs, and the biggest orc is behind the wheel, and you run out of gas, some orc behind you is like, oh, Zog, we're out of gas. And the big orc is like, no, we're not. I filled the fucking gas tank up earlier. And all the other orcs are like, oh yeah, you did do that. And then you turn the fucking mech back on and it works again. Does it have gas? Probably not, but it works. The power of imagination. They paint things red because it makes them think they goes faster. They paint things purple because it's the sneakiest color. You want to know why? You ever seen a purple orc? Didn't fucking think so. Orcs
oh
are
my
also,
god,
like,
you're
as
right.
hell. They're
I've
back
never
in the
seen a
Eldari
purple
time
orc.
frame.
Does that mean there's purple sneaky orcs?
But back then they were called Orks, and they were much larger and scarier. And
Does that mean if you just like take an orc figurine, like the little like, do you guys call them figurines or do you just call them models? So you take a little orc model, you just slap just a bunch of purple paint, and you just say like minis. Depends on who. Depends. Anyways, miniatures. Okay, if you take your little orc miniature and you slap some purple paint on it, is it invisible? Yes, it is. Yes, it's sneaky.
More intelligent. Now they're just orcs, and they're big, dumb, and they smack things, but they're pretty spooky.
I think Melly has a gang of purple orcs. That's
based really hard, and it's called the Green Tide because there are so many orcs. There are about as many orcs as there are Tyranids, maybe more. Who knows? But they keep on, murdering each other, so it's not too bad of an issue. Orcs are entirely comic relief. Their stuff is slapped together that makes no sense. Their vehicles don't work the way they're supposed to, but they work because they think it works, because they imagine that it works. Orcs care only about who is the biggest orc, and they will follow the biggest orc. And then if they want to be the biggest orc, they'll challenge the biggest orc. And then when they go and they issue a wa is just war in orc, they murder everybody and everything in this giant tide of green orcs who are just excited to be hitting something. They don't care that they're hitting Eldar or the Imperium or Tau or anyone in between. They're just so they get to beat shit up. That's orcs. And on the tabletop, they are a total coin flip, and they're really fun.
A coin flip? That's
met
funny.
a salty orc player. I have never met someone who plays orcs and is ever just a bad
RNG
guy
build?
or
Let's
that
go.
guy. Orc players have this kind of fun to them because when you play them,
Those freaking
you are
bulldozers?
completely submitting yourself to
They
RNG.
drive bulldozers? They drive bulldozers? That's so cool.
Thing. Guardsmen, Imperial Guardsmen, when they shoot, they roll a dice, and on a 4 up, they'll hit their target. They have a 50% chance. Space Marines, pretty good. They hit on a 3 or higher because they're well trained. Adeptus Custodians, they hit on 2s because they're just super well trained. Orcs, they hit on a 5 or higher. But if they roll a 6, they get to make another shot with anything, from the dinkiest pistol to the biggest rocket launcher. It doesn't matter. Half of their stuff will blow up on a whim. One of their medics, if you roll a 1 to heal someone, you fuck up your surgery and you just kill an orc. They're so wacky and silly. But the thing is if you roll well, you roll high, and you keep rolling high, you are going to crush people. And if you
I
don't,
wouldn't say it would be my
you
main,
lose.
but like
That's
it would definitely be fun to play an orc army.
what you get when you play orcs. That's what happens when you play orc. It's a coin flip, which is why you can't be a salty bitch when you play orcs, because things won't go your way. It's just the roll of the dice. You're playing a dice game. But if you're gonna have fun and you want to be stupid and you want to be silly, you're gonna play some damn orcs. But on the opposite side of the fun part of this, let's talk about the Necrons. The Necrons are spooky, scary skeletons and very grimdark again. They have a much more fleshed out lore than before. Back in the day, they were just undead Egyptian space terminators, and they still look that way, but now they actually have a story. So way back in the day, you had the Necron tier. Kind of see a theme here: Eldari, Eldar, Krork, Orc, Necron, Necron tier. So the Necron tier were this race of generally kind of shitty people. Not because they were personally shitty, because their lives were awful. They were ill-fated to a horrible existence of like radiation
Necron's
and
the
a
mod tier
terrible
of the
planet
universe?
they lived
What do you
on, and
mean by
everything
that?
just really sucked. Being a Necron tier was just really depressing. They really were looking for immortality. They were extremely reliant on the hope that they would eventually find the key to living forever and just stave off this horrible nature that they were thrust upon them, and therefore they could become the most dominant race in the galaxy. And they found this group. They're called the Old Ones. Imagine them kind of like the Forerunners in Halo or the Xel'Naga in StarCraft, right? These Old Ones were these strong...
I'm gonna be real, I don't know either of those things. This is not helping me, Bricky. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know my StarCraft or my Halo lore, dude. Anyone got another analogy? Anyone? I'm sorry, Bricky, I don't know.
Pretty much omnipotent beings.
Okay.
And they, of course, knew the key to immortality.
The ball from Destiny. Okay, you got me. There we go.
Said, please.
The
show us
Traveler.
your ways.
The Traveler. Gotcha.
And the Old Ones said, piss off. Not really.
Old
They were a
Ones
lot more
said
humble
piss
about it.
off.
They did not want to share their secret of immortality with the Necrons. The Necrons, of course, took this
personally
very well and waged war with them.
Yeah.
Kind of under this united banner. The Necron different dynasties didn't really like each other, but under this one man, the Silent King, he thought the best way to unite his race was to do this giant war with the Old Ones out of spite for them keeping the secret of immortality to them. This was known as the War in Heaven, and this is actually a multi-stage war. Because during this war in heaven, they discovered the Star Gods, a whole new race of people known as the Catan, or the Catan. These Star Gods were also very much like Old Ones, almost omnipotent beings, and they too had the key to immortality. And so the Necrons went to them and said, hey, can you help us fight off the Old Ones? Can you help us kill these Old Ones, you, the Catan? And the Catan said yes, and in fact, we can help provide you with the immortality you so desperately seek. So the Silent King of the Necrons decided to make a pact with the Catan to allow them to accept this generous gift of immortality upon them. But this, of course, had been a horrendous trap, and the Necrons were dragged in chains to this biotransference where their flesh was stripped from them, replaced with nothing but a metal hollow shell, as their souls were ripped from their body and fed to the Catan. And the Catan fattened up. They got chonk on the souls of the Necrons. As this was their plan all along, they consumed the flesh and souls of the Necron tier and turned them all into unwilling robotic slaves just to serve their will. And then with their new-founded Necron army, they pointed their guns at the Old Ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these Old Ones. The Old Ones did their best to stave it off. They even created other races, the Eldari and the Orks, to try to fight off the horrifying Necron army and the Catan above them. But there was absolutely no possible chance for them. And the Old Ones were absolutely extinguished across the galaxy. Their entire race completely removed. Full-on 100% genocide. However, during all this, the Catan, so just infatuated with their victory, started fighting each other for fun, for sport, and for small differences, doesn't matter. The Catan, with these overpowered people, they're going to eventually hit each other at some point. And as they began just menially fighting each other, the Eldar and the Orks actually started pushing on the Catan's borders a little bit, giving them a little bit of a run for their money. And as this continued, this is when the Silent King, who retained his consciousness, decided to leap into action and start a full-scale revolt against their Catan masters. And this revolt was bloody, as the entire Necron army was surged off to destroy these star gods. They were able to, just after suffering horrendous losses, were able to turn the tide of the war. And they took these Catan and they blasted them. Because as these star gods are unkillable, they were able to break them into thousands of shards and entrap them in giant stasis vaults to now actually be slaves to the Necrons. And with the Necrons having the entirety of their old gods enslaved to them, they realized that soon their race was about to be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Eldari and the Orks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy that was rightfully theirs. And then some dingus Adeptus Mechanicus guy diddled with a green
of course, the Adeptus Mechanicus had to put his little fingers in other things they want to research, and they woke up the Necrons.
And now the Necrons are back, and they see all these primitive races on their lawns, and they think, get the fuck off of it. The Necrons are back, super advanced, and they are here to reclaim the galaxy that they so rightfully believe is theirs. Now, at tabletop, they're a lot like that. Tons of undead Egyptian skeleton robots that when they die, they just get right back up because they keep on reanimating. Hard to kill, tons of crazy stuff. You can use the Catan themselves as units to fight with. It's pretty cool. The Necrons are one of the three major events in 40k. The Horus Heresy, the Fall of the Eldar, and the Awakening of the Necrons are all pretty substantial events. And the Necrons themselves are pretty dang cool as well. Here's a good
when in our timeline did we introduce the Necrons? Like, how long has the Necrons in their current like, how long has that been a thing? 83? Oh, okay, so pretty early. Entire time, okay. Because, like, I've been told that the Primaris, though, specifically, was very recent in, like, history that we introduced Primaris, though. Yes, Primaris is pretty recent. Like, and how many years recent? Like, oh, like 2014, 2016? Damn, yeah, that is really recent in comparison to a lot of things. Because we're near the start, but their lore expansion is recent. When was their lore expansion done, though? When was that lore expansion? I'm curious. Same time? Okay.
Quote from a wonderful Dawn of War game. Lucky creatures, as long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs, I was remade. Here, my brethren slumbered for eons while the living grew like weed. My Lord knew this day would come. He had planned.
So, like, Necrons, we just like, oh, the Ad Mechanicus woke up these dudes and we know nothing about them. And then recently, as in 2014, 2016, then we got the full lore explanation of what happened. I'm guessing, and the reason for that is because Ad Mechanicus found out more about it. I'm not sure. I'm just asking questions.
Plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Kronos will be a tomb world once more. Necrons are also pretty smug. Trazyn the Infinite especially, a little dickhead. But speaking of dickheads, last race let's talk the Tau.
Let's talk about the Tau.
The exact formation of the Tau Empire is not entirely understood. However, along
the Necrons have a candle display representing each star in the galaxy. If they want, they can snuff out a candle and cause the corresponding star to go supernova. Holy. That's kind of OP. Anyways, Tau time.
Long time ago, many thousands of years ago, in the 40k world that is, some Imperial navigation vessels were going around through different areas, and they saw a primitive race, blue people, smacking each other with sticks and stones. They thought, nah, dumb Xenos race, who gives a shit, and they bailed. Then this giant warp storm occurred right in that major area, unable to be breached. Then, once that warp storm 6,000 years later subsided, hello, those little sticks. Well, they decided to actually have no war of any kind and all just unite together under one flag of the Tau Empire. And now they have gigantic starships and Gundam robots and lasers and railguns and mechs, and they are here to ruin your day for the greater good. That is generally the Tau Empire. They have this kind of feeling of this homogenous group. All species can go underneath the banner of the greater good. The greater good is their idea of the fundamental increase and help of all. In fact, they are most likely the most like the Covenant in Halo, where they have the overarching prophets, being the Ethereals, who
Sorry,
are
I'm just like laughing at chat. You guys have a lot to say about the Tau here, I see.
Kind of dicks and like to pull at strings a little bit, but then you have all these different races directly underneath them, and they all work together in this big group as this large.
That's a word. That's a word. No, work together. Like, you know, they're choosing to work together. Right?
Working race that
I've heard a few things about Tau already, just from asking questions to fellow Warhammer friends. So I don't know about this choosing to work together part.
Clearly pseudo-religious influence across the galaxy. The alien is not intrinsically evil. Do not hate him. Pity him, his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and equate him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good.
Greater good.
That is generally the Tau. And if you're kind of wondering like what their mainly big shtick is, well, they're all about big robots and mechs. They have laser rifles and rail guns.
I feel like he's only like partway into his Tau explanation, and I feel like maybe he's gonna do the whole like plot twist kind of thing here, because right now he's making the Tau sound a little too appealing, right? He's making the Tau sound a little too appealing, I think.
Mechs with tons of missile pods and heavy rail rifles and rail guns and burst cannons and ion accelerators and void shields and all this stuff.
That's the trap.
That is generally what the Tau's all about. But you're probably thinking, Bricky, this doesn't sound that evil. This doesn't sound very grimdark Warhammer. And you'd be right. The Tau Empire really don't have that much of a horrifying, grimdark style like everybody else. They're much more younger, new age thing. In fact, they're probably a lot less evil and a lot even better.
Wait. Did they bring the Tau in when you said that they tried to make Warhammer kid friendly for that little short period of time there? Is that when they brought the Tau in? Tau were introduced around the 2000. No Tau were before? No? Okay.
They are now, back in the day, because they liked having like that good guy faction. But a lot of us who really like the dark, depressing style of Warhammer didn't really like it that much.
Because of Gundam.
So, see, the Tau get a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate isn't necessarily unjustified. It's mainly from a tabletop perspective, but as you can see from all the visuals I've shown you recently, they don't really fit in the 40k universe very well. They lack that super dark, dramatic, kind of high gothic level the Imperium has. They don't have the weird kind of like grungy stuff that Chaos or say the Orks do. And the Necrons and the Eldar have their own specific style as well. The Tau really do look like something out of Gundam. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does definitely not fit too well. There's that. There's also the tabletop problem. In tabletop, Tau are horrible at melee combat, but exceptionally good at range combat. So they blast everyone from really, really far away, and they have a million rules to make it so that it's nearly impossible for you to get into melee combat. So it basically just forces you to bottleneck the game into one specific gameplay style, which is gun to gun. And if you're doing gun to gun, they're going to win every time because they're the Tau, and the Tau are really damn good at shooting. So it's one of those things that make the Tau generally rather hated, and a lot of different reasons for that, both from style and such. But this is actually one of the things I wanted to end this video with, is that the Tau, while they have their issues, you should not be discouraged from playing them. I'll make plenty of Tau weeaboo jokes, of course I will, but it's all generally in good fun. Anyone who legitimately doesn't want you to play a faction is an idiot, and you shouldn't be giving them the time of day. You pick what you think is cool.
I can't tell if this is satire or not. I am so conflicted.
And what you like. In Warhammer, especially now, factions get better and they get worse. They grow
Feels
and then
50-50.
they fall.
He's being genuine.
You should
Okay,
only be
okay.
playing what you think is cool. You like the look. You like the
He's being
models.
real. Okay.
If you're talking tabletop, that is what you should be going for every time. Is what you think is badass, because things change all the time. But the universe of Warhammer has so much going for it. Every faction has something interesting. Every character has a story, and there's a million stories to be told. The universe is vast and exciting.
Whatever
and while it
faction
is
you
dark,
play,
depressing,
GW get
horrible,
paid
that
regardless. I think it just sucks that a lot of the reason why people aren't liking players who play particular factions is usually because there's like a balancing issue. So it seems like it's the players don't want to hate each other, but GW is like causing the players to hate each other on some things. Maybe? You know?
Is the damn charm. And out of everything I've told you in these two videos, is anything you could take away is the reason why so many of us are so into this series and why we like it so much.
Yeah, why didn't the Grimdark, why didn't he go over the mind control portion with the Tau? Why did he paint the Tau as completely good guys? I'm just confused as to why, because like he went into the atrocities of every single other like factions, but didn't we go into like the Tau being not as good as they say they are? It's been doing much better with balance in the current edition. That's good to hear. Mind you, this video is like, I think 4 years old, this specific one here, because it's not too fleshed out, or it's just implied. You need a Tau deep dive. I'm guessing it's just like, it hasn't been fleshed out for long enough, because Tau haven't been out long enough, that it's just not a big thing. It's possible that those parts of the lore weren't in there yet. It's vague and not 100% confirmed. No, it's a big thing. Okay. Interesting. One sec here. Oh man, this one's really long too. I'm gonna check if he has like a later video on Tau here.
Today's video is
no. No, he doesn't seem to have any. I have to look somewhere else other than Bricky for this then. Tau in a nutshell. Let's see if we can find a Tau in a nutshell video. There's really not a lot here. It like this. Most of this is very comical. Okay. think I found something.
Hi. I'm Arthur. And it's
Some
no
people
secret
really
that
don't
in
like
the
that
40k universe there is a substantial amount of hate. It's almost ubiquitous with the entirety of the fiction itself.
Yeah, I was
so
watching
when
Luton
trying to
videos
describe
before.
to people who don't know anything about the setting that the Tau are particularly divisive, I find myself in a bit of a hard spot. If you've been playing for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People hate the Tau. Even from the perspective of Tau players, they acknowledge that their faction is hated for not entirely unreasonable means. But this is a lore video, covering lore shit. So I guess I gotta get into that. So to start, what is a Tau? Well, that's a rather reductionist question for a video essay about blue aliens that have a disproportionately large amount of people who want to fuck them.
What?
To put it in simplest terms, the Tau Empire...
Wait, what?
is a conglomerate of dozens of races that have folded to the military and technological might of a race.
Wait, I just realized he never showed us what female Tau look like. Is this like, are they like literally anime girls or something?
That refer to themselves as the Tau. Oh jeez. The Tau Empire is run by the Tau. Next you're gonna say the Imperium of Mankind is ran by me. Yeah, sorry, I'm not on my A game today. I had something and then I lost it. Regardless, the Tau we are going to be talking about are the Tau race proper. Because even though on the tabletop you can field Tau accessories like the Vespid and the Crute, who honestly does? It's a sad fact.
Well, that could be the same with Argonians. Like, Argonians don't really have big titties, but like, you know, there's lots of art of lusty Argonian maids, you know?
We shall likely get into later. The Tau as a race are peculiar, to put it lightly. Essentially, they are a hyper-expansionist race of Xenos that, for some reason, in the last couple thousand years, have gone from banging sticks and rocks together to having technology that, in a lot of ways, rivals and surpasses the Imperium of Mankind's own technology. To say that is a bit unprecedented is a bit of an understatement. The reason being is they kinda had, like, a more streamlined version of the Emperor of Mankind showing up and doing his own thing. Initially, there were technically 4 castes of Tau with each individual.
I don't want technicallys here. I'm out. I'm lost on this video already. I'm lost. What's this?
Hi friends, pack your apple juice and hiking boots, we're going on a safari. Today we're going to look at all the fun, silly little Tau auxiliaries. One of the coolest aspects of the Tau are their auxiliary species. Unlike pretty much every other 40k faction, the Tau aren't mega on-site racists, so they actually do recruit other species to their empire. So today I'll go through them, give a brief little description, and then to spice things up, I'll assign these species high school cliches and stereotypes based on their traits or quirks.
Okay.
As an example, I'll quickly put the Tau caste into stereotypes. Fire caste, jocks. Water caste, cute popular girls. Earth caste, nerds. Air caste, the cool mysterious kid. And then finally, the ethereals would be TikTok, since they appeared seemingly out of nowhere and probably mind control the 4 other
Tau
castes.
talk.
Oh, and one more thing before we start, I just want to say that some of these species don't have that much lore, but I will say as much as I can, and I might also have to imagine what some of these look like, so half this video will kind of just be me making fan art, I guess. But that being said, let's start off with the best auxiliary in the Tau Empire. These dudes are often seen as zealous, somewhat barbaric, but otherwise able to operate the advanced Tau tech, making them very useful allies to the Empire. And you might have guessed it, but this is Guvesa, or the human helpers of the Tau. That's right, human supremacy, baby. Even in the Tau, humans are supreme. Suck it, Xeno scum! The Guvesa are just Imperials that the Tau recruited, be it wayward guardsmen, deserters, or just Imperial citizens who were abandoned after lost battles. These humans, they swap their zeal for the Emperor for zeal for the greater good. And Tau reception of human, it kind of varies. Some trust them and like them quite a bit, while others fear that they're too zealous, too barbaric, and too dangerous. Pfft, too zealous and dangerous? Sure. But some of the Tau forces, they decided, you know, we aren't 40k enough as a faction. So why don't we sterilize and forcefully re-educate these humans? That'll put us on the list. And here's some fun little facts about the Guvesa. Number 1, some of them are actually allowed to continue to worship the Emperor, as long as they continue to serve the greater good. And this is somewhat of a common trend among the auxiliaries, as the Tau Empire allows the species to keep their side hoes as long as the greater good is their main bay. And then, fact number 2, some Guvesa, they actually shave their head and wear blue face in order to integrate themselves into the Tau society and ingratiate themselves with the Tau commanders.
That's terrible.
And finally, this one's super cute, but I'm not entirely sure it's true since I only saw it one time. But Guvesa squads are apparently called clusters. And in these clusters, they refer to their squad mates with a number and then friends. So just like imagine them about to get eaten by some dark Eldar or something horrible. And they're just like, oh, 6th friend, we're gonna die. Rip. Also, I guess that would mean a Guvesa orgy would be called a clusterfuck. So with all that, I would say the Guvesa, they're kind of like the transfer kid that's really outgoing and most people like, but low-key, people are kind of worried he might start a fight at any moment. He loves his new school, but he's also still a little bit too much into his old school's football team for some people's tastes. Next up, let's talk about something similar to humans. The Demiurge are just Vote's hand that the Tau misidentified. They're primarily traitors to the Tau Empire rather than true warriors. They also have some advanced technologies that they share with the Tau Empire. As dwarves, these technologies are mostly related to mining, manufacturing, and that SpongeBob long, tall, and handsome machine. The Demiurge are that kid who's like a little bit weird, he's short, he's awkward, but he sells everybody fidget spinners or whatever the kids are into now. And like, these dudes are nerds. They're probably in the robotics club with the Earthcast, but the cool kids like him because he sells them the vapes. But speaking of manufacturing, another species that works with the Earthcast to manufacture weapons and ships is the Greet. The Greet are an invertebrate species that hail from an ocean world. On their home world, the Tau built floating factories, kind of like the Camoans, I would imagine. The Greet, they were annexed into the Empire because of their manufacturing capabilities, and they made vessels called line ships and stealthers. The line ships had slipstream FTL capabilities, but no warp protection, so the Greek crews were promptly, brutally murdered by demons. So kids, always remember to use protection when entering, the wormholes.
Yeah.
And again, these dudes would totally be nerds. However, these ones would definitely get bullied for being spineless little weirdos who most likely smell like fish. So tangentially related to manufacturing, a lot of auxiliaries are pretty much only notable for their ships or void navigation capabilities. So I'll quickly cover those. First off, the Ostens Council is a group of various species that serve as mercenaries for the Tau. They make ships called winged discs, which honestly sounds a lot like a semicircle to me, but who am I to say?
Okay.
And these guys, they're once again probably nerds, but they do have their own little nerd group, so the other kids low-key think they're kind of cool. Then the Normati would be another species that not much is known about other than their use of worm ships. And honestly,
yes,
I don't know that much about these guys.
I have looked into the Sisters of Battle briefly during a multiple factions video. However, I do plan to look into them a little bit further, Scythe 7. Oh, orcs intentionally don't use warp protection so they have in-flight entertainment. That's funny.
Based on what I could find, I'll just say they're that weird little kid who's like looking for worms and shit in the quad planters. Next up, Geatrix are an allied species that's notable for their navigation and skills with space travel. The Geatrix would be like that kid who got their driver's license early and are by default one of the cool kids. But also, everybody wants them to take them places, so, you know, you win some, you dim some. Next up, related to spaceships and space travel, the Nikasar are a species who love to travel across the void, and they make the Tau some scout ships. They were also the first species added to the Tau Empire. And the Nikasar, they're pretty cool since they're literally psychic space bears. They're described as having Earth sign appearance, and along with that, they have quills, stubby little limbs, avian skulls, and no eyes. They're physically weak, but they make up with that with their psyker abilities, which is very helpful to the Tau since they themselves do not have psyker abilities. And this highlights one of the cool aspects of the auxiliaries. The various species help bolster the Tau Empire and fill in the Tau's weaknesses. Furthermore, due to their psychic abilities, the Tau Empire tries to keep them hidden from the Imperium of Man. Also, fun cute fact, they float around in magic space bubbles.
Ah, cute.
The Nikasar are definitely nerdy, awkward weirdos, but luckily for them, they were friends with the cool kids long before high school, so they kind of get their protection. Think 2002 Peter Parker and Harry Osborn. Now, another weakness of the Tau that is filled in by auxiliary species would be their infamously bad melee abilities. So, like those horrible loser IRL streamers, the Tau bring some muscle in case they ever get into a fist fight. And these next few species, they would all definitely be on the football team and would probably beat you up. The most well-known of these melee species is the Kroot, and honestly these bird dudes could have a video of their own, they're very cool, but the general gist of them is that they're a species of tall, powerful avian hunters. Along with being proficient melee fighters, the Kroot are known for their ability to alter their physiology by eating species and inheriting their genetic traits. The leaders of the Kroot are called Shapers, and they try to shape their peers and make sure that they inherit traits beneficial to the species, don't hit evolutionary dead ends, and don't eat forbidden species like Tyranids. With their Kirby-like ability, they've gained things like psychic abilities from Eldar, muscle mass and greenness from Orks, and my favorite, issues with authority and a penchant for red bandanas from the Catachan. The various critters that the Kroot work with, like the Kroot Hounds or Krootoks, they're actually Kroot that hit evolutionary dead ends. Since their mutation caused them to lose too much intelligence and sentience, they're basically relegated to helper pets. And then the Kroot, they might be athletic, but they're probably also a weird theater kid who keeps on trying to change his personality. Another species that specialize in melee are the Thraxans, who are bug-like aliens with multiple arms. Other than that, not much is known.
Bug,
These would just be kind of like those forgettable jocks who hang out with the more popular jocks in movies, you know. Then the Talarian dog soldiers are a reptilian species that look like, you guessed it, cats. Of course, I'm just kidding. They obviously look like dogs. And then for some reason, one of the places I read said that they're known for having knees and ribs. A weird thing to be known for, but I guess at least they got something going for them. Who am I to judge?
When do we get
and
cat
another
girls?
cool thing is that they're said to be obsessed with honor. And
I
also,
feel like
almost
if anyone's gonna bring us cat girls, it's gonna be the Tau, right?
joined the Red Corsair Renegade Space Marines. But the Marines thought that their stupid little rituals were stupid, and that led to a little altercation that ended up with a bunch of dead dogs and a bunch of angry readers. And these dog soldiers, they would be like that one kid who's super loyal to his friends and will constantly get into fights on their behalf. They'd also be like that kid we all knew who had knees and ribs. You know who I'm talking about. Next up on the slate, the Morelians are a species with soldiers called the Deathsworn who serve as mercenaries. Mostly for the Tau, but they have worked with other things, most notably the Alpha Legion. Other than that, the only thing that seems to really be known is that Dark Eldar particularly like the skin of Morelian kids for robes. So I guess they're Dalmatians.
Well, let me guess, they're like those like 80s kind of cat girls, right? Where there's just like hair everywhere.
Auxiliaries. And then this would just be the kid who kind of gets along with everyone, and you're kind of surprised to see what friend groups he'll be in. Also, all the fan art I've seen makes them look like emos, so I guess they're also bald emo kids. Another mercenary faction that helps the Tau and strangely enough the Alpha Legion are the Galg. Now these guys are actually quite interesting, and they might be a contender for my top 3 filthy, heretical, and abhorrent, but also kind of cool Tau auxiliary list.
You know?
And the Galg, they're these weird tentacle aliens that live in underground palace cities. They were a relatively peaceful species that weren't really notable in any way, but they created a utopian society where no one really suffered. Then the Tau came along, and they saw them being perfectly content and were like, that's stupid. You idiots are all too busy living a perfect life to see the greater good and how it can improve your stupid perfect life. And so they conquered the planet, and the Galg, quote unquote, happily gave up their perfect lives to find purpose in the greater good. And some Galg, however, they didn't buy into the Tau blue Kool-Aid, and they became freedom fighters and mercenaries. This faction of Galg are the ones who assisted the Alpha Legion, and they seek to overthrow the Tau and reclaim their way of life. The Galg, they would be like that one dude who's perfectly
I want to play as the rebellious tentacles.
content with the way he is, and definitely the happiest dude you know.
Rebellious
but everybody tells him he's weird, his life sucks, and he should try to do better for himself. He's also probably a stoner. Then these next two, unlike the Galg, don't really have that much interesting stuff
G Panda, thank you for the follow.
going for them. They're kind of just like the kids who were at your school, but honestly, they're side characters, if even, and they're kind of just there to fill out a role sheet. The Rangorn and the Herenian are 2 Tau auxiliaries whose only trait seems to be that they are Tau
looks like
auxiliaries.
a frog.
Next up are the Vespids, or the Malkor in nerdy blue terms. I've always really liked the Vespid. Flying bug soldiers with green energy guns have been cool to me since Halo 2 when you mowed them down with that balcony machine gun in New Mombasa. The Vespid are a partially insectoid race that's a bit bigger than humans and have chitinous wings that apparently might function like jetpacks. They use these wings not only for flight, but also to emit ultrasonic vibrations to control their tech. They also have 6 eyes, which, that's not just the flux on the Nikasar. Each set of eyes have a different function. The top sees ultraviolet light, the middle sees the human visible spectrum, and the bottom sees an infrared.
Oh, that's really
Finally,
cool.
the Vespid have a
They're like one of those like high-tech iPhones that I use for facial tracking because they have like infrared. Detection.
complex language due to their
Dude's
unique
got an
mouth
iPhone
structures
face.
that is pretty much unintelligible to the Tau. This caused the Tau to have trouble recruiting the Vespid, and due to this failure of communication, the Vespid thought the Tau were a bunch of nonsensient doo-doo heads and were uncooperative.
Oh.
Luckily for the Tau, though, the Ethereals made a quote-unquote communication device that allowed the Vespid to communicate and also conveniently instilled the Vespid leaders with the righteous ideas of the greater good.
Communication device, yeah.
Here, wear this hat. It'll help us communicate easier. The greater good is all that matters. Let's work together. This is my life and also my technology. Praise the greater good. Along with their speed and flight capabilities that make them good scouts in the Tau army, the Vespid also have pretty advanced tech. Most notably, their crystal technology that is operated using their wing noises. Their primary weapon is a neutron blaster, which blends Tau tech with their own crystal technology to shoot energy blasts from unstable crystals.
I'm guessing those are better than the flashlights that the
two stereotypes quite nicely. First off, they're that weird kid who's always spewing unintelligible nonsense, but he's actually pretty smart and athletic. And they're also that girl who constantly talks about the mystical energy within crystals and how she only buys crystal products on full moon so that her aura is enhanced or whatever the stupid star sign nonsense she has to say. Except in the Vespid's case, their crystals actually do have magic powers. So finally, let's end on a bang. A big bang, because this last species is
better
huge.
than last guns,
the
yeah.
Vorg are huge kaiju-sized Xenos who usually are peaceful, but they aren't afraid to tussle
Godzilla! We got Godzilla in Warhammer!
the muscle. These fellas, they don't have much lore, but what they do have is cool. Kaiju-sized aliens is enough reason for them to get a lot more love. These big boys are said to go head-to-head with Knights and maybe even Titans. Just imagine how cool a Kaiju model would look next to the Tau battlesuits. It'd be like if in Pacific Rim, the Kaiju and Jaegers teamed up to fight some Space Marines or something. And then obviously these guys fit the Gentle Giant stereotype perfectly, and if the auxiliaries got a high school movie, the Vorg would probably have some big blindside energy. And so those are all the Tau auxiliaries I could find. I think the allied species is a really cool concept, and it kind of reminds me of the Halo Covenant. It really sets them apart from the other factions since their specialists are fulfilled by different species. Or, at least in theory it does, since unfortunately the Tau only have models for 2 of their auxiliaries, which is pretty lame, but at least we have some cool descriptions. It would be really, really cool for the auxiliaries to get some rules in their own detachment for the Tau, because, like, mechs are cool, but so are psychic space bears and kaiju, so, you know,
we need
get on
kaiju
a GW,
models.
my money's not going to spend itself.
What the heck?
But anyways, let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know if I missed anything or got something wrong. I'm sure someone out there will be disappointed I forgot to mention their favorite Xenos, the Glep Shit Glorbs, and their whole one sentence of lore. And if I did, I'm truly very, very sorry. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and consider sharing to all your auxiliary species.
Did
Thanks.
you learn anything? Yeah, I learned that Bricky's silly for not insinuating any of the funny haha they mind control people. But maybe he didn't know the info back then. And it seems to be a reoccurrent meme and thing. He's in on it. You think you think Bricky's being mind controlled by the Tau? Bricky! Oh no! We gotta save him! We gotta save him from the greater good! No! It's just a theory. Wouldn't that mean Bricky is planning to kill Mata? Depends if he... I don't think Mata cares about the greater good. She just wants to eat, right? Devour. Consume. But I'm sure Bricky could maybe like point her to consume areas for the greater good or something. I don't know. Plays Sisters and Night Lords? Oh. Okay. Well, we'll definitely have to do more of this again. I won't be streaming tomorrow. However, we have big things happening on the 13th. Please look forward to an announcement soon. Make sure you check out my socials. Wait. No, there we go. Socials. Follow me on either Twitter or join the Discord to get regular updates on my next stream. We are gonna be wrapping things up for now. We did a lot of lore. We did a lot. A lot of lore. A lot of lore. My brain needs a break, and I've got a lot more prep for the upcoming events on the 13th here. It'll also be my partner anniversary, so I'm looking forward to celebrating with you all. Artizzle, thank you for the follow. Welcome on in. We are gonna find someone to raid here in just a moment. Raid. So let me just see what we got. Hey, is Bricky on? That's what we should check. We should check. Oh, right. I clicked a bunch of videos and they went really loud. No. That was not fun. Is Bricky stream right now? He's not. Why do you say, oh god, panic? No, he's not on. Is Matara on though? Oh, Matara is on though. We can give her a raid since that's her content husband, you know. We'll give her a raid here. I think she's doing some 40k Space Marine. Yeah, she's playing actually the first one, which is interesting. I've never seen the first one before, so should be fun for all you Warhammer fans there. All right, I will see you guys Friday. I'll see you guys Friday. In the meantime, I hope you have an excellent morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever it is for you. I hope you have a good one, and remember that Oneesan cares very much about you. So take care of yourself, please. Until we see each other again. Bye-bye!